when the first thing I saw like just a row of people in front of me, like wearing scarf like this,
okay,
with hats because it was winter, and in uniform, American flag, and each of them have their M16 rifles,
okay.
laser, literally like I think 6 or 7 of them. Each of them like their laser, my head, all of them like my head, my chest, and there was like chain that big from my hand to under their feet, and there was like 2 dogs barking, like really the German Shepherd dogs.
Okay.
So like, okay, what's going on here? So I look at them, and I clearly smiled, like I want to look. I don't know why I smiled. I don't know why. I was like surprised to see what's going on there. I never in my life imagined something like that. I also, as I told you, I wasn't familiar with the American movies or films. Yeah. And because I smiled and loved that, I got a lot of beating because of that.
Zdravo svima, dobrodošli u još jedan Agelast podcast. Pre nego što počnemo sa današnjom neverovatnom epizodom, slobodno mogu da kažem, pre svega se zahvalimo našim partnerima, pre svega hvala našim dragim partnerima iz Fit Pasa. Kao što znate, u pitanju je kompanija koja omogućava da jednom članarinom rešite brojne sportske rekreativne centre širom Republike Srbije, posebno ukoliko ste zaposleni, znači imaju opciju za zaposlene, tako da kompanije i korporacije mogu da pospeše vašu svakodnevicu, vašu produktivnost, lojalnost i tako dalje. Pogledajte više na linku koji se nalazi ispod, dakle hvala Fit Pasu. Također želimo se zahvalimo našim partnerima iz Volta. Kao što znate, Volt je sajt za kućnu dostavu. Ukoliko niste čuli za Volt, idite na Volt, napravite profil na Voltu, iskoristite promo kod sa imenom našeg podcasta Agelast i ostvarite 3 puta po 200 dinara popusta na prve 3 poručbine, odnosno radite to sad, napravite pauzu, poručite klopu zato što ova epizoda traje i ima puno toga što treba da se prođe, a i sad ćete o čemu se radi vrlo brzo. I naravno, želimo se zahvalimo svima vama koji nas podržavate. Pre svega hvala svima koji nas podržavate mesečnim donacijama preko Patreona. Ukoliko želite da nas podržite i vi na taj način i budete svojevrsni producenti ovog podcasta, obezbedite njegovu nezavisnost i da ovakve teme mogu da postoje u našim serijalima, to možete uraditi preko linka koji se nalazi u opisu ove ili bilo koje druge epizode bez obzira na platformu gde nas slušate, to jest gledate. I hvala svima koji nas podržavate jednokratnim donacijama preko PayPala. Ukoliko želite nas podržati na taj način, link se nalazi u opisu ove i naravno bilo koje druge epizode bez obzira na platformu gde nas gledate, to jest slušate. Sada je vreme da najavim svog gosta danas. Naš današnji gost je čovek koji je, njegovo ime je Mansoor Adayfi. Napisao je knjigu koja nosi naziv Don't Forget Us Here i ovo je ta knjiga je povod zašto se on ovdje nalazi. Ovo je vrlo ekskluzivan intervju zato što spletom okolnosti, to je silom prilika, on živi zapravo u Beogradu i u Srbiji od 2016. to je 2017. godine. Rođen je i odrastao u Jemenu, u porodici sa mnogo članova i sa 17-18 godina je u Avganistanu, dok je bio dok je kao student bio tamo, kidnapovali su ga zapravo, kidnapovan je u Avganistanu i potom je prodat početkom 2001-2002 godine, prodat je američkim specijalnim jedinicama i odveden je u Gvantanamo. U Gvantanamu je proveo 14 godina bez ikakve optužnice, od čega je veći deo tog vremena proveo u izolaciji, bio je mučen svaki dan, prisilno hranjen i tako dalje. Priče o Gvantanamu su priče koje vjerojatno mnogi od vas veoma dobro znaju i ovo je jedno svedočanstvo života u jednom od najozloglašenijih mesta na svetu, gde je veliki broj zatvorenika, nažalost, nepravedno tamo i bez ikakve optužnice ikada. Ovo je njegova ispovest, njegova priča koju možete saznati, kao što sam rekao, u ovoj knjizi i koja je samo jedan deo svega onoga što se dešavalo u ozloglašenom Gvantanamu. Moj sljedeći gost, Mansoor Adayfi. Uživajte. So you were telling me about the Yemeni coffee.
First of all, let us be like more traditional.
Okay.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يا هلا ومرحبا، ارحبوا، حياكم الله، أهلا وسهلا، أهلا وسهلا، حياكم الله. أرحب أرحب يا هلا مرحبا. Basically,
meaning
this is the Yemeni tradition.
Yemeni tradition.
Tribal tradition. Greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Like, peace be upon you.
Okay.
And then there's like a kind of words like feels you that you more welcome when you hear it. Like, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan, hayyakum Allah, arhibu. Like, and you have to come that way, arhibu. Like, means, ahlan, like, welcome.
Welcome, okay,
So,
okay.
like,
So you have to be loud.
Yeah, especially like when they're like in Yemen, when you get a guest, especially like tribal, they would come and receive you with the song, also shooting in the air, and it's like, feel like a celebration, basically.
Okay.
And Yemenis, as I can say, we are one of the most hospitable nations.
Okay.
Through history, basically, like, yeah. And my tribe called Bani Abu Dayf means the father of the guest.
Okay, that's the name of your tribe.
Yes,
the father of the guest.
Yes, basically because when people travel, they would rest in our area and like for a day, and then they will continue. So when they rest, they will be given like a place to sleep and food and everything free. So they call it like Bani Abu Dayf.
Okay,
So
nice.
I'm Mansoor Adayfi from Yemen, former Gvantanamo prisoner, ISIM 441. You can call me Smiley Troublemaker.
Yes.
Or 441.
Yeah.
So basically, I think we officially introduce ourselves.
Yes, okay, thank you. First of all, you were telling me something about the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically,
when you say macchiato, or when you say mocha coffee, it's what? It originates from Yemen?
basically, Yemeni coffee, one of the most expensive and best coffee in the world.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Yeah, you should do something about it, research about it.
Yeah.
And when you say macchiato or like mocha, actually, when like when Yemeni used to export coffee, we have a port called Al Makha.
Okay, Al Makha port.
Al Makha port, yeah. So they can like mocha, then macchiato. It's like it because.
Because of the name of the port.
Because the name of the port.
Okay.
Exporting coffee to Europe and to many different countries.
I had no idea. Yeah.
Now, it is really hard to find a Yemeni coffee because even Yemenis cannot afford to buy it. It's a gold.
Yeah.
I remember in Gvantanamo, my mother once sent me a Yemeni coffee from our area. So we have small farms too. So when I prepared it in the microwave, the smell spread all the camp. So one of the camp officers, a female, she came running. She's like, I smell coffee. This is the first time I ever smell coffee like that. I said, yeah, this is Yemeni coffee. So like I gave her a cup.
Yeah.
She drinks like, oh, this is the first time I feel like really drink coffee. So whenever she worked in the camp, I would just prepare a cup of coffee for her.
Okay. And how you call that?
Yeah, this is imama. This also a Yemeni tradition. Imama, like it's Yemeni, how we run it that way. It came with our tradition.
Yeah, but for the people who are watching, you have just put it on your head. You haven't been actually walking around with it.
No. Like I did it a few times here in Serbia, basically on the bus. Sometimes when I go for Friday prayers, like people look at me in the bus and people will stay away from me. Because a guy carrying a backpack and like an imam, like, and I said, okay, I'm not gonna wear it anymore. And people I feel people feel offended, and I don't want people to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, stereotypes are very strong.
Yeah,
all around the world, not just here.
Yeah. So basically, like I wear it intentionally, like because I'm from Yemen, and this is our tradition, basically.
Yes.
Like it's part of our culture, tradition, and everything.
So basically, let's do just a small introduction before we jump into the story.
Okay.
The reason why you're here, it's because of this book you wrote called "Don't Forget Us Here." I've been reading this book the last couple of days, and it's an amazing read.
Thank you.
Amazing read. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been more than past the half of the book, and it's really unique and one-of-a-kind experience. Basically, you were born and raised in Yemen. You went for research studies in Afghanistan, and you were kidnapped by warlords there. And then you've been sold to CIA and been imprisoned in Gvantanamo for 14 years without any charge. and we're gonna go through that story now. But before we start, I would like to know who's Mansoor Adayfi, and how was growing up in Yemen was like, because the first part of the book is very interesting also to have the perspective of who you actually are.
First of all, Ghalib and Sandra, thank you so much for having me today. I'm really glad to be your host, guest today, and talking to the people about the story of Guantanamo, because the story of Guantanamo is not just about my story; it's about us all as humans. Because what happened at Guantanamo, it happened to humanity. It's not like to prisoners or individuals. Because we are going to go deep in that. So let's start from Yemen. As I told you, I am from Yemen. I was raised in a tribal society and conservative family. So when I finished my ninth grade. This is school we have in our village, only to ninth grade.
Only to ninth grade.
Yeah, so basically I live in the mountain, like in the highest mountain in Yemen.
Yeah.
And we live like in a tribal society where people go with the tradition and like still like in our blood. And as my father was my grandmother was one of the head of the tribe, our families raised us in a way to be like the face of the tribe. And tribes live with integrity and courage and hospitality, and like you have to show that you are there, like since you are a kid.
Yeah.
So my world was only the small tribe. I started going to school with my sisters and brothers and neighbors.
Yeah, you have how many siblings?
Oh, I have like we were 12, now we are 10.
Okay, 12 siblings.
Yeah, I mean, this is average in Yemen.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So basically, when I finished my studied ninth grade, we didn't have high school in our place, in our area, because its schooling system wasn't that developed in those areas. And I had to go live with my aunt in the city, and I traveled to the capital, Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. And it is like just moving from one world to another, which is like, you see the lights, the cars, the buildings, the people, electricity.
Yeah, this is the thing that struck me the most. Basically, when you were growing up in the village in the mountains, in which part of Yemen?
It is Raima. It's called Raima. Yeah, like we actually like have our own farms, cattle.
And what's
sheep.
the altitude? If you're in the mountains?
I don't know, like it's almost 2,000 something.
2,000 something,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
And you basically grew up without electricity. That's interesting.
We have no electricity, nothing basically, and nothing like.
So how?
Even the first time, the first time I saw a car when I went with my father to a market, like the car was coming, and I never like saw a car in my life. So basically, when I saw the car the first time, it's like a beast. So I started.
How old were you?
Like I don't remember. I was like so young. I started like a big rack and throw it at the car, and everyone tried to stop me. Like this is the beast. Like, so my father like just calm down. This is a car. I was like, okay. I said like people inside it like. So then, they're like it was one of the like moments I still remember. I laugh. So yeah, it's like small and very limited world and community basically. But like as like my mother really is the one who raised me, like played the role raising us, because my father travel or something, like he has worked in Saudi Arabia or like had a restaurant, or so my mother actually who was taking care of everything, and yeah, love her so much.
Well, you haven't actually, because I've been reading the book, so I know you haven't been able to spend a lot of time with your father, because every time your father had to work, he had to go away.
Yeah.
Because he had a shop in the different city.
Yeah, he has a restaurant yet.
He had a
like,
restaurant.
He has a restaurant, and like as you know, like many Yemenis work in neighbor countries, and you know
neighboring countries.
Countries. Yes. Unfortunately, like one of the things we as Yemen like suffer from leadership crisis.
Okay.
And we haven't developed yet as a country in every aspect. through the like I'm now doing my master degree in reforming Yemen education system, and I came to know more about the history and like our history. Like it's just a big mess. And now, as you know, like we have the last 8 years war in Yemen, civil war, and our neighbor countries also invaded our country, like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and other countries under like Arab coalition. The truth is, my friend, we are a very rich country, and that turned to be a curse.
Yeah.
And if you do not have a leadership who really preserve the country, you will become just a prey for others.
Yeah.
And that what happened now in Yemen.
Okay. And growing up in the village, you spent a lot of time actually with your mother.
Yeah, exactly.
And with your siblings, right? But how many sisters? How many brothers?
I have 3 brothers, 8 sisters.
8 sisters.
Yes.
Yes.
So we like large family. Then like I told you, when I finished my 9th grade, we didn't have like high school in our countries, in our area. So I have to move to my aunt to finish my older brother did the same. So then when I arrived in Sana'a, the capital, it was like a new world. And I was when I was behaving in the way I was raised, you know.
Yeah.
I thought like
a mountain kid.
Like a mountain kid. Also, like it's not
Highlander. You were a Highlander.
Yes, and also not just like that. It's like you have to tribal characters.
Okay, yeah.
Which like you have to show yourself. You have to respect others, treat people equally.
Yeah.
And regardless their age, but
tribal character and tribal mentality.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And you have to like also we have a lot of respect for elder people, and like. So when I was behaving in the city, it's a different world, basically. I was like curious about everything, about the boards, about the writing. Well, I need to read every sign there, and like the building. So we at that time, like we had a tall building, like 25 floors.
Yeah.
And it was made of glass. It was belonging to the Yemen airline, and I just went there straight, like. They end up calling the police because they refused to leave. So when the police took me, he said, and he was a nice guy. And I said, Mansoor, what are you doing here? What's your name? I said, where are you coming from? I said, from this place. Your tribe. I said, this is my tribe. He said, Mansoor, this is different. How long have you been here? I said, okay, maybe 2 days. He said, no, it's not like that. You are not in your tribe. This is a city. There is rule. There is police. And the first time I kept to know like something called police.
Okay.
Oh,
you never heard of police before?
No, we didn't have tribal society. We have like the head of the tribe, and they manage everything if there's like problems.
It's a completely different world.
I told you, completely different world. And sometimes when you like dispute, different shuyukh or the head of tribes would come and like with the set, and like you can see people talk how they solve the problems, and like in an old-fashioned way.
Okay.
So like I can see people in uniform. Okay, this is something new. He said, like, this is city. He was a very polite guy. He also like me. Like all Yemenis, almost like each of us have like their own tribe, belong to a tribe. So then. When I finished my high school there, and during that time, I worked. I started like also tried to work. I helped my uncle with. Sometimes he had like small shop selling grocery, basically.
Okay. Grocery shop.
Grocery shop. Was like when people come to buy something, when like. When people like, especially when they come to buy bread, I would give them extra. Like, it doesn't work that way, my son. I said, well, people like, especially vegetables. I said, they need like. He said, you are not in your tribe. It's not generosity. This is business.
Okay, yeah. So you were not familiar with the business mentality, also.
Basically, yes. Basically, like when people buy like special vegetables, I would give them extra, little extra. You know, just my uncle would say,
no, it doesn't work like that.
It's like you're like you don't fit here.
Okay.
Like especially like an old lady when she comes, I feel I'm not gonna take any money from her. And she loves me so much.
How can I take money from her?
Yeah, because she is so sweet. And when she comes, my son Howard is like, because usually so like the old ladies come and when she comes around, like I would give her for free. And when I left, she asked about me. She asked my uncle like, where is that boy? He's like, he was giving me for free. And he said, well, he's not coming anymore.
He's not working here anymore.
Because I felt like really shy to to take money from her.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
like she's like grandmother. I'm like, we are going to give him some potato or some like whatever. Like, I'm not gonna take money from her.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. But I thought my uncle won't find out, but he did.
how old were you at the time?
I think I was 14 at that time.
14 years old.
14,
Yeah, yeah.
14, 15.
So, it's basically, you had a dream to go to study.
I know, like, I came to learn more about in the city. I also have, like, I know people there, and I start learning about the first time about computers. Like, we had, like, a magazine called Sakhr, like, crack. Like, and there is a photo of the computer. And I start reading about it. Interesting. Then, when I finished, like, my high school, the first time they started some kind, it's like a big deal. They started computer courses there.
Okay.
You can register, and I said, yeah, that's what I want to study. But you know, like technology hasn't at that time integrated in our education system.
Yeah,
So
okay,
it was
okay.
really, really old.
Basically, just to let people know, you and I were the same age. You're born 1982.
No, my friend.
Huh?
No. I am 20 years old, you're 40 years old. Because the year I count in jail, I didn't count those years.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
basically-
okay.
Here,
I understand.
Let me tell you one thing, why I'm saying that. Because in jail, physically, we grow up. Physically, we grow up. But mentally and intellectually, we didn't move at all. So when I come out from Guantanamo, I feel like I was like 19, 20. Even now, my mentality, my way behavior is like childish, a little sense of humor. But again, because there is a huge gap in our life, like 15 years or 20 years, especially like even after Guantanamo, living in almost like isolated, there is no family, no social life around you. So you didn't actually fully develop as it should. So basically, you can like physically, yes, I'm maybe, but mentally I'm not there. So I'm telling people always like, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm now 40 years old.
You have lost 16 years of your life, basically.
Yeah. So we were talking about the education. So I wanted to study that I'm like I want to study IT. So
okay.
we had only one private university which called جامعة العلوم والتكنولوجيا, or the College of Computer and Science, which is very expensive at that time. And but in 1999, the first time we had internet, and I never used internet even before Guantanamo.
You never used the internet before Guantanamo?
No, never, because I didn't have. I took like 2 courses in computer, like those, like started like all courses, those, and I couldn't afford to continue because it was also expensive at that time. And I worked at by 2000, I worked as a security guard. I used to work in German embassy, in Dutch embassy. Then during my study in Sana'a, I work also one of an institute, like. So this is how from that institute is how I ended up like traveling and doing like research. I was like a researcher assistant basically.
Oh, okay,
I wasn't
okay.
research myself. Like I was that guy who carried the bag, do things, and like
You were just an assistant.
yeah. Basically, when I studied in Sana'a, also I used to help in. I study part-time in the institute sometimes, like study there and sleep there, eat there. And I used to help with there was like around at that time over 200 foreign students from different parts of the world.
Okay.
So I used to like helping them with their like residency, visas, passport issues, with their stuff. And that gives me a chance to know like people from different parts of the world. And like, okay, there is a world out there. But one of the things about our countries, Arab Peninsula was isolated during the Turkish ruling because when the Turkish, they totally isolated the area, especially when the world was witnessing like the industrial revolution. The countries hasn't actually included.
Okay. So during the Turkish rule,
Yeah.
They isolated the Arabian Peninsula. So when Industrial Revolution came, you haven't been the part of it.
Yes, basically.
So the Industrial Revolution hasn't come to that part of the world yet.
Yeah, until
Okay.
like if the mentality continued that way, then like especially Yemen.
Okay.
Like when Yemen after the because we were also under the Uthmani rule. So after World War One, Yemen became like independent, but at the same time we went into like a monarchy system. Was totally ignorant. Intentionally, was education was forbidden only for the elites of the people. in
Okay,
society.
so you went from World War One, from independence straight to monarchy.
Yeah. Also,
Okay.
the monarchy was also cursed, which is until the 1962 we had a revolution. So then after that, because as a tribal society, it's really hard to unite those tribes and to control them, because there was like president elections, or get the first one get killed, then the second one gets assassinated, the other one. Then in the I think we had the schooling system in our countries, the first college and education system started in the 1970s.
Wow.
The
Okay.
even the
first school system.
yeah, and it was before, but like some people tried before to have it, but they were in prison and some of them killed by the monarchy. Then the first university was built in Yemen in 1970. It called Sana'a University. It was a donation from Kuwait. I think in 1970s we had the first president who ran Yemen from until like 2011, and he was also just another tyrant, because also the mentality of the ruler, like they don't have any kind of mission or vision. Their main focus how to control the people, and they view the people as the enemy. Like, so that contributed to there wasn't really much development in any way. And let you know, Yemen, one of the richest country in the world. No exaggeration. We had the coastline 2,000 kilometers. We had like the Red Sea and the Arab Sea, and we had the reports that we had 9 billion oil barrel, and we have the second largest reserve of gas. So you name it. You like talk about tourism. You talk about we actually the strategic location to Bab al-Mandab, which like almost like 40% of the importing oil comes through Bab al-Mandab. But that turned to be a curse. Why?
Because everybody wanted it.
Everybody. Also, if you have a fortune, you don't have to guard it, how to use it. People, it become like a target for everyone. And in our countries, in Yemen especially, we didn't have like those kind of rulers who really want to build a country and develop the country in such a way. Because when I told you Sana'a University was a donation from Kuwait, when you look at hospitals, roads, most of the infrastructure of Yemen, donation from international communities or countries and so on. So the mentality of the ruler those rulers was, we are a poor country, we need donation, and and that continued that way. So and they lied to the people, we are a poor country, we are not poor country, So this is one of the reasons of our countries haven't been developed. So now I'm doing my research about like education system was like. It breaks my heart every time I read about the education system and the failure of our countries. So I hope I can do something with this research, because this is the least I can do. And I believe that education is the key to everything.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Build the person, the family, the community, the country, and the world. The healthy education, quality and healthy education.
Absolutely.
So. When I was studying in the institute, the head of the institute was one of the most influential scholars in the Arab Peninsula. So, and if you go back to the late 1990s, there was a rise of, especially in Arab Peninsula, like Al-Qaeda, in the media. Because even at that time there was like a vacuum in the media. There is like no much of event there. So Osama bin Laden emerged like as a man who fight against American empire. The attacks took places in Africa, Nairobi, Dar es Salaam. Then United States attacked Sudan, and they attacked Afghanistan for the first time. Then Osama bin Laden attacked U.S. school, and there was like attacked in Saudi Arabia. So there was like something big happened there. The institute I was studying was funded by the Saudi government.
Okay.
So the head of the institute was asked to write a book so they can educate the new generation about the new ideology, and to, because he was against Osama bin Laden, against Al-Qaeda, and so on.
He was against them.
Yeah, so he wanted to write a book about that. When you dismantle their argument, it's not just to say they are bad. You need to bring the argument. You need to bring their ideology there and start dismantle it in the view of the religion.
Okay.
So basically, based on that, at that time there was no any kind like a lot of materials available, not online.
There wasn't what?
No materials, about
about
Al-Qaeda, because you need to know about the ideology, what their ideology, what the fatwa, books, what they came from, what the argument is. So you can bring the argument then, because when you talk to the people, you are not just to talk to one group. You're going to address all categories in the society, educated and uneducated, all kind of people.
Yeah.
So he need to write like a book in that aspect, so he can like, here's what the problem, and this is what how we can like started talking about the problem and the argument from the religion to the view. So the head of this institute selected one of his students to do the research, to go to Afghanistan, and started like he would meet with people there and do the research, go to their schools to interview them, to get materials, books, cassettes. There was no CDs or stuff like that. At that time, there was no internet, no Google, nothing. And like, ironically, I came to know later that the Saudi government actually like used this institute like around the world, because also the Saudi is a way of controlling the people, the mainstream view of the people through those institute, charity organizations, and so on.
You want to say those institutes that were founded by Saudis, they were actually puppet institutes used for instrumentalization?
Not. What can I say? Puppets. It just, you funded something because they supported your views, and it became also. For example, if the institute has like 10,000 or 3,000 students. And what the ideology would got, the education they got, and everything will be in the benefit of whom? Of the founder, right? of the also the financer, right?
Yeah.
So Saudi is not just in Yemen; they're like around the world. And when MBS came, I think he stopped all of that. So anyway, like the head institute sometimes used to give like reference letter to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, to Kuwait, to some Gulf countries where you can go study actually as like scholarship.
Okay.
And I went to him like 4 times. Please, I need your help. I need this kind of like reference letter. He's okay. We'll see. He was strict about it. Then he said, okay. One day he told me, okay, I will help you, but you help me first. He was kind and nice to me. I said, okay. I said, we need to go with this person if you can go, if you'd like to go. I said, yeah, I like travel. Yes, why not? So also at that time, traveling in Afghanistan, if you travel to Afghanistan, you'll be in the government list. So we get the clearance from the government, from our government, from Yemeni government at that time. They took our passport basically and they gave it to the Yemeni intelligence, and they gave us some kind of like recommendations to Yemen embassy in Pakistan, and we were given like phone numbers. If you get any trouble, you call the embassy, and they know like who we are basically. So because at that time in the 1990s, United States, after the attacks on U.S. school, attacks in other countries, some of the fighters who fought in Bosnian War and fought against the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, some of them were in Yemen from different nationalities. And they were either studying Yemen or live in Yemen. So Yemen, United States government told Yemen, either get rid of them or going to sanction Yemen. So at that time, Yemen president started, they started like flushing everyone out. Some of these men, if they were sent to their home countries, they will be executed. So now they said, like, we need to find a country for these people. So they one of the reasons that book, like the the institute went to write a book, and also like at that time I lost track of the story. So I'm trying to say here, at that time in the end of the 1990s, there was some kind of rise of Al-Qaeda and Taliban and the new jihad ideology. So basically, the head institute would write a book to dismantle such ideology. This is in short words. Our mission basically to go there, and the researcher would interview some people, ask questions, collect materials, and like be the eye and the ears of the institution. So our mission started from there. All I want from that to get like those reference letters, and I could finish my college.
You just wanted to finish the research.
Yes,
to get the reference letter,
yes,
so you can go to the college.
Exactly. So basically, because
but life had different plans.
You know, it's like for me, like you at that age, you didn't think straight. You know, full of energy, and like there was going.
You were
to
like how old?
18,
are you? 18 years old.
18, yeah. And I said, I'm going from there.
You were a child, basically.
But I was very mature. Like even when people talked to me, they said, "You didn't look 18. Like you didn't seem 18. You seem like 30 or something." Because the way I was raised up, like when I live in the city and study and start working, like very curious. And so we flew to Pakistan. We went to Yemen embassy and met them there and we told them about it. They said, okay, yeah, good to go. Then we were accompanied by Pakistani police to the border, then went to Afghanistan. And from there, like we spent around I think like 2 or 3 months. We almost like finished. And we were recommended from Yemen to charity, the Saudi charity in Afghanistan, like who do some charity work, like building schools or wells for water, or helping with some like medicine and hospitals. So this was our contact point in Afghanistan. We arrived there. And my friend, the moment you arrive in Afghanistan, you feel you travel in time back like 1,000 years. Literally, the only thing connected to modern life is the motorcycles and the cars. Other than this, you know, the way of life, the hardship of life, and people face the poverty, everything around you, like the things I used to read in the books. So basically, when we went on the car, I saw a lot of, you know, those tanks, vehicles destroyed, like which tells history. When you arrived in Kabul, there's a lot of damaged buildings, you know, like because the war, bullets, explosions. There's a huge scars in every building, which is a lot of history. Kabul, however, it's a beautiful city. So we started from there, and we traveled to different places. We interviewed some people, visit some institutes, and like I came to know there's like different groups. You have like almost like you have Egyptian group, you have other Saudi group, you have none of them actually agreed with the Al-Qaeda. Yeah. They have their own groups and their own like ideology and their own, you know, plans and their own, and some people who just live there in like normal life. Some people,
just regular people,
people who fled their own countries and they want to have a safe to live, to have find a place to live, like the Uyghurs who fled from China, or like some people who fled from Tunisia, or because like that time, like Egypt and Tunisia and Algeria, they were torturing a lot of prisoners. Like if you have like even become like a practice Muslim something, you will be tortured and so on. So we met a lot of people and it was interesting. Time passed by, and one day we were
how long you were there?
We were there like only for a couple of months.
Couple of months, okay.
Couple of months, yeah.
In Kabul?
No, different places. Because
different places, you have to traveling around.
You have to travel around because our contact with the church organization, and they have cars, basically.
Okay.
They have cars and they have contact, they have no people. And from there, they tell you like, they give you all the information. I have like a notebooks which I write dates, phone numbers, contact, locations, and that notebook becomes something later we'll talk about it. So, one day we were in like small restaurant eating breakfast, and actually we're planning just we almost like planning to go back. And the researcher, he said we need to call the head institute because there is like some development in the you need to do some other stuff. So one day we're listening to the radio because Afghanistan, as you know, there was no TVs. TVs were banned, and like as
TVs were banned,
basically, yeah. And you are totally disconnected from the world. Like as I told you, when you live 1,000 behind, I'm not exaggerating. So, and so basically, like people only connect through the radios, listen to the news. And we heard in the news that there was like attack on Americans with the airplanes. Honestly, we didn't give it much attention. Like there is no connection. There is nothing you can say yeah or track you or wherever. It just so we didn't give it a thought. Maybe like airplanes or attacked buildings. When we head back to the church organization, the head of the church organization told us, there is some major attack on the United States, and then accusing Al-Qaeda. He said, we are waiting now for instruction from Saudi Arabia.
We are waiting for instructions. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And, then he got instruction like liquid everything and leave immediately. So I came to know years later that charity was actually just Saudi intelligence base.
Okay.
Yeah, but honestly at that time I didn't know. I came like maybe...
You were too young to know.
No, I wasn't like, because you didn't have that knowledge. I came to know along maybe 10 years or 12 years later in Gvantanamo. I was like thinking, connecting dots sometimes. Saudi there. Why Saudi like everywhere? So basically, you were working for them, but you didn't know even working for them. Okay. So basically, you were doing your own thing. Like, it's that what it seems. And it's kind of smart way. So basically, like, look what different and we're leaving. So they have a lot of stuff. They have medicine, blankets, they have dates, they have food, they have money. They like liquid everything and leave immediately. And it's a guy like, and you should leave too, let you know. And the researcher said, okay, Mansoor, we are leaving. So I came to know a nice guy who was working for the charity. He said, would you help me? I said, yeah. So he had some kind of like medicine and blankets and also some money. He had to take it to one of the hospitals. He said, we need to give them this. And because also those people are sincere and nice people. I want to do the right thing. It's not just get rid of everything. And we didn't also, at that time, we didn't understand the magnitude of the problem. The guys like, it's a big, huge problem, but I never saw the TV. I never watched it. We just heard about it and we get like something is big. That's it. What's going to happen? We never expected the Americans going to invade Afghanistan even. It didn't cross our mind at all. So on our way to one of the hospitals in the north of Afghanistan, we should like deliver this kind of the stuff from the church organization, medicine and other stuff and so on. We were ambushed on the way.
You were ambushed on the way?
Yeah, the car, like the guy was driving the car, and like we thought they were Taliban, like people on cars, machine guns, and there's like the charity organization, the car that belonged to the church organization was like a beautiful new Toyota car, blue. So when they came, we thought they were Taliban, and they get to search and so on. They said, okay. They said, salam, salam. And they said, get out. We came out of the car. And by the way, honestly, what I felt, they're not good people because the way they look at us, the way they were, I didn't understand the language, but I can tell something is wrong. And I told him, I said, no, don't worry. They
were speaking Pashto.
Yeah. He said, no, don't worry. They always do this. They make sure we didn't have any weapon and so on, and they will let us know. And they were talking through the radios. Like they have like, Motorola's records, yes, basically how we communicate. They communicate, and the church organization, they have also radio, big radio there, how they communicate. And one of them went to grab my backpack, so I fought with them. I'm not gonna give it to you. Then they said, "Hey, guys, this guy is like the head of them. He's the warlord." He said, "You guys coming with me, my guests." And with him like, we need to go. He said, no, I insist, blah, 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 and so on. With him like, they were Taliban. But at that time, American intelligence started talking, people started shifting loyalties. It's like, the more you pay, people will follow you, basically. Those people, like mercenaries from within the country.
Okay.
So we went to his home, like, as guests. They took the car, and they told us, like, you cannot leave. And my friend told me, just calm down. He called the head of the church organization. He told me, like, okay, don't worry, just come back. So we've spent like 2 weeks. Then another warlord came and took us. Now, like, someone who's above this guy. And he started negotiating with the church organization about ransom.
Okay.
Now we are kidnapped. So while I was there,
with charity organization,
the head of the church organization.
Okay. So they took you for ransom.
So basically, they want money. They took the car. They took everything, and they said, "Now, if you want to release them, we need money." And we're going to send them to Iran, and we get like around 100, like around $40,000 for both of us. And they said, "Okay, just guys, calm down. We are going. No, it's not a big issue. They would pay it." So at that time, one day, we were like treated nicely, and we were just not even prisoners. We're like as guests there. And I used to teach the kids math, Arabic, help them with their schools. And one day they told us, you guys, one of the guards, he said, Americans are here and going to take you.
What?
He told us, like, Americans are here and they're going to take you.
Americans are
Americans, yeah. And like, why American even here? Like, I couldn't like comprehend why American even was there. My friend always like optimistic. He said, no, even if American here, they know we have nothing to do with the Al-Qaeda or Taliban war. Like, they know who we are, and don't worry. Are you sure?
Yeah, well, that big attack that happened,
yes,
it turns out to be September 11, right?
Yes, exactly. So, but for us, like as I told you, I never followed the news or TV.
You had no idea the magnitude of the event.
Nothing, because you totally disconnect from the world, and you didn't have any TV or newspaper or anything. And in the country itself, you know, for example, in every country, the government controls the media, right? And media control the what's also through the media and whatsoever. It shapes people's minds, way of thinking, and everything, or opinions. So, if you don't listen to that, you have no idea what's going on. And my friend told me, okay, don't worry, everything will be fine. American, they know, like, we have nothing. And so, because he was talking also to the charity, the head of church organizations, through the radios, because Afghanis were just interested in money, honestly. And the moment American came, Afghanis came first. Afghani people who were treated like guests. And, you know, they said, sorry, we have to put handcuffs in your hands and like hoods in our heads. So they put the handcuffs and they put the hood. And like I walked like for maybe 2 minutes. And I could hear the helicopter. This is not good. The moment I felt really strong hands shouting, dogs, they grabbed me, threw me to the floor, and I started, you know, beating and searching and like, you know, in the worst, like, for me, like, it was like a huge and a big shock, like, what's going on there? So people shouting in English, dogs, you know, barking real loud, and you could see hitting with guns, like rifles. And immediately they start searching and cutting my clothes, like totally naked, just hooded. Oh Allah, what's going on there? So then I was like, they threw me to a truck. People sit, like, they put me in real chain behind me and chains and shackles, and they put like tape around my neck, like, so the hood cover won't go. And they were like cursing, beating, shouting, and, you know, like, okay, I said, like, this is where I'm going to die. like, what's going on here? And I start resisting too, because I'm kind of like stubborn guy. Like, you cannot do this to me, because especially like stripping naked and start searching my genitals that way. And the more I resisted, the more I got beating. We were taken to a truck, to a helicopter, naked all the way.
Naked all the way.
All the way. It was like almost, it was winter time, yeah. Too cold. Then we were taken to another, after that we waited in a truck again for, I don't know for how many hours. Cold, really, I was like shaking of, like shivering of cold all the time. And the beating never stopped. I was bleeding, basically. From that, I was taken to an airplane. And from airplane, flew for a couple of hours or 3 hours maximum. Then I was just dark. I was thrown to a place, cell or wherever, underground, hooded, and I was hanged immediately. Then a few hours later, I think I was taken to a room, totally naked, cold, and I could see people, again, dogs, like, barking really loud. They made me sit on the floor, like totally in chains and shackles. So I was like, what's going on here? And like, everything happened so fast, even like your mind, your brain cannot process what's going on there. Why am I getting beating? Why is it happening to me? I need some explanation. So, unfortunately, I wasn't familiar with the American movies too. So,
you wasn't familiar with American movies either, yeah.
Yes, basically. So then somehow, like, someone just like forcibly removed the hood of my head.
After how many hours?
After like I could say, it was, I think, it was like all night. It's like afternoon, all night, flowing like, yeah, that's in the second day.
So practically you were like,
yes,
12, 14 hours.
No sleep, nothing, no eat, no drink, nothing. It just cold, naked like that. I was bleeding too. So when they removed the hood of my head, I was like, the first thing I saw like just a row of people in front of me, like wearing scarf like this,
okay,
with hats because it was winter, and in uniform, American flag, and each of them have their M16 rifles, laser, literally like I think 6 or 7 of them. Each of them like their laser, my head, all of them like my head, my chest, and there was like chain that big from my hand to under their feet, and there was like 2 dogs barking, like really the German Shepherd dogs.
Okay.
It's like, okay, what's going on here? So I look at them, and I clearly smiled, like, I would look. It just, I don't know why I smiled. I don't know why. It just like, I was like surprised to see what's going on there. I never in my life imagined something like that. I also, as I told you, I wasn't familiar with the American movies or films. Yeah. So I just looked at them and I smiled. And the interpreter also, he was an American who, interpreter, speaks Arabic. But his also accent was so funny. Like, so when he started talking, I also like laughed. I was in pain. I was also bleeding, literally. And it's like, do you know why I'm here? In Arabic. Like I said, la, like, it's like, la, and I was smiling, like, what's going on here? And because I smiled, I love that. I got a lot of beating because of that. So then they start telling me that we know who you are. So start talking. Okay. You know who I am? So we know who you are, Mr. Adil. No, I'm not Adil. I am Mansoor. No, we know who you are. Then the interrogations over almost like 3 months in the black site started.
Well, we have to make a pause here because first you need to explain what black sites are.
The black sites basically, the CIA created these black sites where they kidnap people from different parts of the world, and they brought these people, tortured them in the worst way. If you're familiar with the enhanced interrogation technique, so even before Ghalib, before we talked about that, we need to talk about how Americans, intelligence or American government started this kind of after 9/11, what they call global war and terror, when they give themselves a power to run the police, to run world as the police. And as you know, what after 9/11, when George W. Bush, he said either with us or with the terrorist, there is no in between. So CIA were given green light, blank check to do whatever they want, as long as they would extract information and save Americans and American lives. So they created these black sites. It is like prison around the world. They was in Afghanistan. They were in United Arab Emirates, in Egypt, in Syria, in Morocco, also in some European countries. So basically, you'll be taken to this place. You'll be like a ghost. You have nothing, no name, no number, nothing. It's the most important to get some information from you. It doesn't matter if you survive or not. And if you are familiar with what happened to Abu Zubaydah, the first detainee that documented what they call enhanced interrogation technique developed by two American psychologists, what they like, the contract with the government were almost like $400 million to develop that. They didn't call it torture. What they did, they first constructed the language. And it's really important. When you kidnap people, they didn't call it kidnap, they call it rendition. When the CIA was kidnapping people from different parts of the world, they call it rendition. They call it kidnapping. Torture, they didn't call it torture, they call it enhanced interrogation techniques. It's just enhanced interrogation techniques. So if you watch Abu Zubaydah and what happened, if you also read the Senate torture report, you'll see what happened. It's even worse than torture. So also what they did they didn't call those men who they arrested or they get bought. So we're going to talk about what kind of men in Guantanamo. They call them detainees, not prisoners, not prisoner of war. Why? Because that you don't fit under Geneva Convention. So basically, these kind of black sites, you will be kidnapped, tortured, you might die. It doesn't matter. What matters what keeps you alive is the value of information that you have. So I was tortured like non-stop. There's no sleep, hang all the time, naked. I cannot give even the date because I don't want to go through the trauma again. So basically, they told me I was a middle-aged Egyptian who was involved in attack on Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, money laundering, recruiting. I might show the photo, Al-Qaeda Commander 9/11 Insider. Okay. I admit to everything they want me to. But the problem is with the details, which I don't have. You cannot make up what you think you have. You didn't have knowledge about it. And they told me I was well trained by Osama bin Laden Al-Qaeda. Like, waterboarding, sleep deprivation, sexual humiliation, rape, you name it. We name it, and they never stop. Never stop. By the end of that time, they pushed me to, some people told me, do you feel afraid? I said, no. Not because you are brave or you are courage, no. When someone push you to the boundary beyond fear, because fear, it is really important mechanism for us. It's a self-defense mechanism. You need it. But when someone push you behind that, it breaks the barrier. So I don't know what fear feel anymore, because one of the things they used to put me in a barrel full of water and close it, dying, literally. And one day they said we're going to kill you. You are not value enough, so they put me in an empty barrel, they close it, and they rolled it. It's cold winter, and I heard the sound of shotguns. I was like, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. This is my moment. I'm dying here. And I just was waiting where is the bullets? I'm going to die. And that kept happening over and over again. I could hear people crying, people screaming of pain, and some of them like crying and pain, like of the sudden, like they just gone silent. So what happened to them? They might die. I don't know. So because it's really dark, and you hang all the time. Sometimes like hang upside down. The way they feed you, they put fries in your mouth, like just eat, and like you can see nothing. They mix it with the sands or stones sometimes, and the way they water to just your mouth, just to keep you alive. That's it. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter what happened.
Is that what they call force feeding?
No. This is the black site. We're not about force feeding. Started later on.
So this is only the question about black site. Do you know where were you taken? Where was this black site? You had no idea.
No, it was in Afghanistan, but I have no idea. But like as I told you, the black site wasn't just in Afghanistan. It's like even in some European countries, in Morocco, in Egypt, because any prison could be turned to a black site, especially those countries who are famous with torture. The CIA would make a deal with officers. Not even the president knew about it, and they will take the prisoners and torture them there. So I was tortured for almost like around 3 months. Then
around 3 months, you were tortured in the black site.
Yeah. So then one day a guy came, old guy. He just came, and the first time in those interrogation, I sat on the floor. He took the hood. He looked at me, and after that, I don't know what happened. Like I just shipped to Kandahar prison, where they have like. When I arrived in Kandahar again, I was given some kind of. They put me in clothes because I could see nothing, and they put me in the airplane to Kandahar, basically Kandahar airport, where American had established a prison there. When I arrived at the airport, the way I was received, they had something called the process station, where they receive people who they brought from different parts of the world to this place. I couldn't walk. Literally, I couldn't walk, like because my legs and the torture, I get also one of my leg get injured, and so I was dragged by 2 people again from the airplane.
You were dragged. So what kind of an airplane? It was like a military airplane.
Yeah, a military airplane.
So you were like put on the floor, or?
Yeah, but like literally tied in the floor, like chained, shackled, hooded, beating all the way, and guard posting on you, like they pee on you, they take photos, they fart on your face, they laugh about it. So it was like just their toy. When I arrived in Kandahar, and this is also one of the scariest moments. And like, honestly, on the airplane, I thought they're going to throw me.
You thought they were going to throw you out of the plane?
Because the way that you treated, like it's like every time is like I'm going to die now. So.
Sorry, but on the black site, where were you kept at the black site? You had no idea. You were hooded the whole 3 months.
The whole 3 months.
You were hooded the whole 3 months.
Only during the interrogation, there is big lights, really those big lights to your eyes.
Reflectors, like
lights. Bright lights, and really loud music. Sometimes they put like big headphones and that kind of like. They call metal music, 24 hours non-stop. Sometimes they would play women crying, screaming like someone's raping them, or like kids crying. Sometimes like they would all kind of sounds and voices.
So for 24 hours a day, they would keep you hooded. They would put headphones on you,
and
with
like
those
chain
noises.
shackled all the way.
And when they take your hood off, it will be bright lights. You wouldn't be able to see anything.
When they took me to the interrogation, they put me on my knees, and there's a guy there, or two of them, the interpreter or the guy, wherever. And sometimes they sit behind you, and there's like two guards who hold you, just hold your face, so you look at this bright light, and the interrogation would start, basically. And you cannot see even the face of your interrogators. It just over and over question, over and over again, over and over again. And you don't know what to expect. Like sometime they would take you to outside, like during dark night. Again, lights never stop. Inside your place, hanged all the time, chain. And like
How would you hang? Like
to the ceiling.
To the ceiling, they will shackle your arms.
Always
Chain your arms to the ceiling.
They will turn you upside down.
And they would keep you upside down too. Okay.
Also, it's
my
like
God.
it's kind of like they don't want to die. You know, people who's really experienced, they know what they do. So it's just to keep you that way until like they break you, until you break. And you mention like the cold, the taser, the waterboarding, and so on. So because they were thinking I was like this Al-Qaeda joint they have, and because Afghanis and Pakistanis sell Arabs or Afghanis what they told them this is Al-Qaeda commander, and the more they told them this Al-Qaeda commander, the more they get paid. And let you know, when American invaded Afghanistan, airplanes were through some kind of like leaflets offering large bounty. So imagine you are going to get $50,000 or $100,000 if you hand one of Taliban or Al-Qaeda or wherever. It's for you it's a big fortune, and people become like business. So
they sold you as a Taliban.
As Al-Qaeda commander.
They sold you as an Al-Qaeda commander.
Yes. So basically, when I was like
this Abel, you were talking
Adel, Egyptian,
about.
Egyptian guy. So basically, from there, the interrogation started, the journey, and so my case is just one of many cases. Sometimes, honestly, I feel I'm lucky because I survived. There is people that didn't even survive the black sites. After 9/11, I know it's a big tragedy, and there is no justification whatsoever. But what American did, American government, I mean, not American people, what American government did, they misused and abused 9/11. So 9/11 was used for bigger agenda, literally. Yeah. So if we go back before the invasion of Afghanistan, 1 year before, there was negotiation. The companies were owned by George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. They were negotiating with Taliban to build pipeline from Central Asia to Indian Ocean. Why? Because to the sea. Because Afghanistan is the gate to Central Asia, as you know, resources, energy, gas, and so on. When the Taliban turned the deal down, so they moved to the to Plan B to invade Afghanistan.
Second phase of the plan,
it's Plan B basically to invade Afghanistan. So 9/11 gave them some kind of cover up and legitimacy to do whatever they did. So we're going to talk later about this, but like as I told you, then my journey. I survived the black site, but I don't know if I survive. I don't know if I can survive because, you are not the same person. So when I arrived in Kandahar, two big guys carried me. I turned 19 in the black site.
What?
I turned 19 in the black site. So
your birthday, your 19th birthday was at the black site.
Yeah. So from there, when I arrived in Kandahar, two big guys took me from the airplane and dragged me, and they threw me like this. And again, they start doing like anal search, and they cut my clothes. Like they beat you. You get beaten all the way. So someone came and removed the hood of my head. What I saw, I like this is it. I saw soldiers, like circle. It was like in the middle. They were wearing like white protective gears and masks, and there were the protective suits were like full of blood. Then behind them, I saw a pile of clothing, Afghani's clothing, and I said, "Blood, clothing, people, they kill people here." So I was again.
It looked like a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, like because when you see people full of blood and in their suits and you see like pile of clothing.
Were they armed?
they have no, they have taser, and they have like sticks.
Okay.
So basically, but you can do nothing. You're like, so for me, this is it. You know, this is where they is going to kill me. So someone came when he removed the hood of my head. He wanted to take samples of my hair. And again, I'm not familiar. I wasn't familiar with the American movies and films.
Yeah.
So and drama. He came. He took some of the heads, took like slava and like
Saliva.
saliva. Sorry, and this kind of stuff. You know, they do. Then again, and there at this moment, they were interrogating me over again at this moment because it is a systematic way, the way they treat you, like. They were asking me the same question. قاعدة طالبان أسامة بن لادن العمر, a nuclear weapon, whatever. So I just, I don't know. I get beating all the way. Then they put me again the hood. They put me in, because I couldn't walk, they put me in the stretcher and they threw me and like they carry me and like I could hear doors opens and like close. Then they threw me somewhere. I could like, what should I do now? I'm hooded and I didn't know what to do. And I heard someone.
But you weren't able to remove your hood.
No, you're not allowed. So when they took me to after last, when they threw me to that place, they removed shackles and they just dumped me like trash there. So naked basically. And I was hooded, like what to expect, what to do now. So I heard someone call me. He said, "Hey brother, Assalamu alaikum. Remove your hood and wear your clothes." I said, okay, it's too cold, like the open air. So I removed the hair, I wear this kind of like blue jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm. Blue jumpsuit.
Blue jumpsuits. When I saw around me, I saw like it's open air prison where there's like 5 tents surrounded with wall of barbed wires, like layer one above others. This was in Kandahar airport, American base, basically turned into American base, and this prison was like open. There's no buildings, nothing. They just build a tent, and it's not covered. It's just like the structure of skeleton of build the food, and they put like 20 or 30 prisoners in each one. So I was taken to one of them, and I'd see like a lot of lights, helicopters flying all night, towers with machine guns. And one of the funny things, they came to me, they wanted me, before they moved me, they wanted me to sign a paper. They told me with Arabic interpreter, he told me like, you have to sign this. He read it for me. He said like, we have a right to kill you if you try to escape. I said, I will never sign that. Of course I will try to escape. I was like still this kind of tribe mentality, like, and I got beating. Sign. I said, I'm not signing. Simply, I won't sign that. And, you know, it sounds funny. You can kill me at any moment. Why you want me to sign? What had happened to me is worse than death. And one of the officers, he just grabbed my hand and my head, like, and he, like, that doesn't count. So this is one of the things I still love about it. And I'm proud about it because I never signed something because some others just signed. I said, I won't. So you're not allowed to talk. There is no sleep too. Guard shouting, yelling all night. And I kept in that place for, I think, 3 weeks. So when the smaller plane comes, it bring people, but we call the beast, the biggest one, like American cargo, airplane cargo, really big, so big. It's the first time to see such beast like this. When they first came, they took some of the prisoners and they just disappeared. We didn't know where they took them. So I think the first group came. I was, I think, in the second or third group to be taken to Guantanamo.
You were in the second or third, but but the very important thing is you had no idea you were taken to a Guantanamo. Actually, you had no idea.
told
You had no idea that you were in Guantanamo for a long time.
Yes, for
while
3
you were in
months. Yeah,
Guantanamo.
basically like one day I told you when this airplane cargo comes, we knew some people going to disappear, and we had no idea where, and nobody could tell us. And also the treatment in Kandahar prison was really bad. Only once meal a day, really cold, humiliation, you know, beating all the time. I mean, there was no respect for your humanity or dignity or whatsoever. So, and even if they kill you, who cares? Like it's just chaos. So basically, when they came to take me to my turn, they called my number.
Your number was?
My number at Kandahar was 421.
421.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
It's a different number than in Guantanamo.
in Guantanamo, like because they bring people from different part of the world. So they called me, and there was like special team who takes you basically. And first of all, you will get beating really bad, so bad, and they will just drag you like a bag, no walking, just
Drag you.
like. So I was taken to something called the process station again. Like as I told you, I wasn't familiar with the American. They were organized. Americans, when it comes to organization, they were well organized. So I was taken to again a tent, and standing, they chain me like this, and they cut all the cloth, just naked, and they start playing with your body, shaving, playing with your private part, making fun of you, men, women. You just so humiliation. I could see one of the brothers, like he was crying, and I tried to cheer him. I'm like, just ignore them. And one of them, like, he started like, what? They were like interpreter. I spit in his face because he was doing something bad to the brother, making fun of him, like whatever. So I get really beating really bad in my face, and he almost killed me. After that, they put me in orange, the first time in my life, in orange clothing, jumpsuit. And again, they brought chain, shackles and chain, all of your body. They put a sign around my neck called "Beat Me" in English, and they put like duct tape over my mouth. Then they put like hood, goggles, cover my eyes, and this muffin like to cover my ears. So you totally just isolated now. You cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot talk. Only think, breathing. And I think if you can shut you down, they would shut you down. So we were taking one after another, like sit in the floor. So when it was prayer time, I needed to pray. So I tried to stand, and I wanted to call for pray. And they used taser to tease me, like, and I get beating, and they tie me again in the stretcher like this until the airplane. I could hear the engine loud because we were close to the airplane cargo. We waited for hours. Then they took us again, one by another. Like, again, like, the way they drag you is just humiliation, beating, and it's like, you are not humans. You have nothing. So we were taken to one after another to the airplane, and we sit on the floor, chain, shackled, and they tie our hands really tight, even like they cut the blood of our...
The blood flow.
Yeah, blood flow in our
So your arm
hands.
went numb.
Almost all of us, yes. And they were like tying one to another, like circle.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot nothing. You said this for... We said this like for 40 hours.
40 hours.
40 hours. Like
40 hours.
Yes.
Wow.
So...
We're in the plane.
And the plane, yeah. The first plane, then the second plane. It landed somewhere, maybe in Turkey, maybe in Poland, somewhere.
You had no idea.
No, we had no idea. So... Alhamdulillah. So basically, we had no idea what's going on there. Like as I told you, everything was happening too fast, and your brain cannot process what's going on. There is no explanation. There is no input. We didn't know. So it just, in the airplane, something happened on the airplane. I heard someone screaming in Arabic, brothers, prepare yourself. They are going to throw us from the airplane. They're going to throw me now. And like, okay. He was like, someone scream, or someone who's not can make it, or someone you can hear, he is dying. Like, so when we arrived in, later on, we all asked who that voice was, because he literally, was it. The voice, like, he said, I'm sorry, brothers, because he said I needed to use the toilet. I was like, toilet. They took him. So what they did, they took him, and they bought like a bucket for shit, and they turned on the big fan.
Okay.
So he thought they opened the gate of the airplane and going to throw him.
Oh, okay.
So that sound like on the airplane, all of us just were waiting when your turn would come. Imagine like you hear someone screaming really loud. It's like, it's a death screaming. And you're just now waiting when it's going to take your neighbor and we're going to take it. Because, man, it's death. So this one of the, like, it's something scary, but it was funny later on when we come to talk about it. Like, years later, like just something on the way. So we spent around like 40 hours. Then the first, again, like a sign around me, like beat me, never stop. 10, 15 minutes, the guard circulate, just beating all of us. You can see people crying. So on the way to Gvantanamo, or to the unknown, again, like a Muslim, I need to pray because it's part of me, part of my life. So we just like kicking each other on the plane, like means it's prayer time because we cannot talk. It's just like when someone kick you, like means it is prayer time. So we pray as much as we can. For us, because this is what would be our last prayers. Yeah. And, oh Allah, because at that point when you see yourself that you are living this life and believing in the second and so on, I wish I did this. I wish I was a better person. I wish I was good to my friend, to my family, and so on. And you start remember everyone and everything, and you wish you could see your mother and your brothers for the last time and say goodbye and please forgive me. You would remember all the bad things, all the people you hurt. And at that time, like, honestly, I didn't hurt, just sometimes you just beat your friend at the school, or for you, it's still like a guilt there, and you regret you wouldn't done that. And because this is your last moment, and you are going to depart and never come back to this life, and you will never meet these people, might again. So we leave this world, but on the way, sitting in that way, I prayed that the airplane would crash, because it's so painful, the beating, the loud music again, the humiliation from the soldiers, and you name it. When the second time the airplane landed, they took us, like, one by another. I could hear loud people screams. And the first thing, when they receive you, they hit you, like, you could see there is someone who hit you from the front or the head of your head, like this, really, those were the American Marines.
American Marines.
American Marines, basically. What they do, before they do anything, they can screaming at you, like, really loud, and would hit you like that, like, really.
Oh, okay, with the open palms.
Yeah, like, from the head, from the front, and from the head, like, you see there is, like,
like clapping just with your head in between.
Yes, in between. Really, 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 like, you feel like your head's going to explode.
Okay.
So, because those are really trained Marines. So then they will drag you and throw you one after another. They put us in a ferry. And a ferry took 20 minutes. Okay, this is nice. Okay, this is first clue. There is a sea. And, Ghalib, those moments, small moments, it was a mercy for us. You know why? Because when something distracts you from the situation you are in. Because if you keep looping in the same situation over, you might lose your mind. Like, okay, there is a sea here. And also, like, for example, going to pray. And that was blessing and distraction, because if you keep focus on the airplane, honestly, my brothers were more focused on, we don't want to miss we tried to calculate the time, and we didn't want to miss our prayers, or like. So later on when I thought about it, I said, subhanAllah, this was some kind of mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that distracts you from the situation you are in. Because if you keep focus, your mind is stuck to the situation, I think I wouldn't survive. So then it was like warm weather with humidity. Oh, this second clue. Now we are trying, like, we didn't know what's going. As I told you, the worst part of it, you didn't know what's going to happen. You didn't know where. Nothing. It's just like, you didn't know what to expect next. And your mind cannot process, because it happened so fast for the first time, and you are too young to understand what's going on there. So again, when we arrived, beating all the way, humiliation, and also there was a American Marines. He was from Lebanon too, speaks Arabic. Mm-hmm. You know, when someone curses you in your own mother tongue and know how to curse you, this was also really hurt a lot. Especially cursing your mothers, your sisters, your honor in your own language. So also that at that time, like, you are fresh, and like, it hurts a lot. So, and everything was systematic. Everything was like programmed to be that way. Why? Because in the end, the interrogation, and the interrogator want you to be ready, so they can break you, so they can, like, interrogate you, get the confession of you.
So the way they treated you was on purpose.
On purpose.
In order to, let's say, in lack of better words, soften you up.
Not soften you, it's like to break you, literally.
To bring you to the brink of breaking once you enter the interrogation. So basically this was like the precursor of interrogation.
Preparing for interrogation.
Okay.
So when you get there to the cameras, look, they get confession. But so when we arrived at the place called the process station. Everywhere there's a process station. So when we arrived there, we were forced.
How many of you? You had no idea?
I think 20. So basically we were forced to sit on our knee for hours, literally. They will never let you to sit down in your.
And the whole time you were hooded.
Hooded,
blinded,
everything, like chain. As the photo you saw, that for hours and hours. Then they would take you one after another. Like, again, at that time, this is it. This is death. What that happened? What they did? They snatch you again. Those guards with the. Later on, like, we come to see in the photos, and you didn't see nothing. You see, like, you feel these strong hands drag you.
Yeah.
And they start scissors cutting your clothes, regardless if they can injure you. They didn't care. Then they threw me to the floor, and someone opened, like, put liquid over me, like liquid soap, and there was like a big hose, like water, and literally 3 of them have like big brooms. The one you used to clean the floor, and they were like
scraping you,
scrubbing your body like that. And while you are hooded, everything, like, they cut everything except the head, the part of the head. After that, they took you naked. They move you somewhere, and they start like fingerprint. They would sit you in the chair. They took the hood just for a few seconds to take a snap of you, like guards hood you like this. And trust me, you don't want to see these photos. I will tell you why. So they put the hood again. Then they would drag you. They dragged me to the cage, like called Camp X-ray.
Okay.
See, the first camp at Gvantanamo was built called Camp X-ray. So, hooded, naked, they drag you on the gravel.
Mm-hmm.
So, open the cage and put me in the ground, like there's guard or soldier sitting on my back, shouting, "Don't resist, don't move, don't." You are not in shape even to breathe. Still, they treat you like it's just a way to beat you over and to break you and to tame you. They know you can do nothing. They know, like, if someone has a sense of humanity, they would even accept to look at us in that way. So they put me in the cage. They removed the chain. They hit my head on the floor a few times. Then they remove everything and they remove the hood. And the first thing I saw, I couldn't see nothing. Bright light, blurry. Like, literally, I could see nothing. Like, now, for the last maybe over maybe 50 hours or something, hooded, duct taped, and everything. So you are totally like confused. Your brain cannot process anything. Just almost like blind.
Emotions?
Emotions, as I told you, if you feel you're going to die every moment, and I told you that when you live that feeling over and over again, it just, what's happening? You are trying to figure out, why is that happening? What's going on here? Like, death will be now the least of your concerns, because I have seen death many times. I have met death. I can tell you this. So, and I heard like soft voice. Hey, brother, just calm down, keep it down. Someone who already from the first groups.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah,
someone with experience.
Yeah, basically, he said he was my neighbor. He was a Danish guy from Denmark, and he speaks Arabic very well because he's like his mother from Algeria. And he told me just they're not allowed to talk. And guard just screaming, "Shut up! Don't talk! Don't look at me! Lock down!" Like loud screams there. Dog barking all the way. So basically, honestly, I wasn't afraid of dogs. I never afraid of dogs because in my camp, in my home, we have dogs. When I work as security guard, I work with the Danish embassy and
German embassy.
German embassy. They have Dutch embassy. Yeah, they have dogs. So, especially those German dogs, the biggest dog I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So, but at Guantanamo, like, the dogs was there. Like, it took me like a few hours just to start process. Like,
they took your hood off at that moment.
Yeah, they took the hood. Like,
and you were in the cage.
In the cage.
So what did you see around?
Totally naked, beating, and like before they came out, they would beat your head a few times against the wall, against the floor, basically. So the first thing, like, it was bright light because a lot of lights, I couldn't see nothing. So when I start like processing thing, all I could see orange figures in every cage, like around.
You saw a bunch of cages and orange figures in the cages. Okay.
So basically, then again, like, okay, I needed to pray. So as I need to pray and go, I needed to pray and go. I will go. I wore the orange clothing, jumpsuit, and there was like in the cage there was two pockets, one for drinking water, the other one for
buckets.
Buckets, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, like two white. There was like two white buckets, one for water and the other one for as a toilet for shit, basically. So together. So the Danish guy told me, he was like talking, like whispering, because he wasn't allowed to talk. So I went there. I couldn't drink, literally. I just washed. I peed and like I washed. And I wanted to pray. We weren't allowed to stand even up. When I tried to pray, like I had to stand up. I tried, but I couldn't. The guard asked me like, "Don't move," because during the process, nobody should move. And for me, I didn't care. Then they brought their called ERF team. It is
IRF, the response team.
Yes, basically they were like right team. They were called. immediate reaction force.
Immediate response or reaction?
Reaction.
Immediate reaction force.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
IRF.
Yeah. So they came to the cell and I get beaten really bad. And the Danish guy,
How they look like? How many of them?
like 6 of them, and they are like all the protective gears, like helmets and vests. They have like
They have shields.
they have shield, of course, and at that time, like they want just to set example to everyone. And I was like this kind of stubborn guy who just doesn't care, or sometimes like, it didn't make sense that way. And my friend used to tell Mansoor, just show them they are tamed. I said, I'm not. So anyway, the second day when I look at those faces, when I told you don't want to look those pictures, trust me, all of us, swallowed eyes, blue eyes,
Split
lips, faces like that, really of the beatings. Some of the prisoners, they get like lost their teeth. So they took photos and they give us like now something like a bracelet, a green bracelet with these photos, IC numbers. Now they give me the number 441. This is your new ID. This is the new you now.
From that moment on, you were known as 441.
Yes, 441. Basically
For the next 14 years.
until now.
Until now.
So, like, because you have Mansoor, and there is another guy called 441. And trust me, you don't want to talk like I don't want to activate this guy.
Yeah.
It's just a joke. So basically, I become just a number now. And a new world, maybe a new dimension of life, I would say that. So when we arrived at Gvantanamo as prisoners, we had no shared life before that. We didn't know each other, no names, no nationalities, nothing. And why I'm telling you this, because is an important detail. So the first thing when I look at the people, the brothers, I call them, around me, I could see only those bruises in those faces, faces, swallow eyes, blue eyes, split lips, like some of them like broken teeth, and we weren't allowed to talk, we weren't allowed to stand, we weren't allowed to nothing. The guard just shouting at you, shut up, don't talk, look down, don't look at me. It was like, and like as someone, I was trying to figure out what's going on there. So, and when I tried to sleep, someone came and he was banging on the fence, like because the cages was rose chain link fences, literally cages, just
Chain link
fences, yes. Like the cages were like cement. On each, there's like 4. They call them CTs. Each CTs has
CT like as an CT. Like,
no.
It's CT
it's
like
it's like bigger blocks.
Oh, okay.
Each blocks has 6 big cages. Each cage divide into 10 cages.
Okay.
So they call them CT. CT1 has like 60 cage.
Okay.
So that big block have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and the floor cement, and there was only ceilings, doesn't shed you from water, rain or sun or anything.
So no ceilings.
There was ceilings, but
It was chain.
a chain.
Yeah. It was a fence. Ceiling. So
exactly, it's like a cage. Later on, they put some kind of wood, but because when we arrived, they were building they were still
facilities.
building the camp, basically Camp X-ray. It's the first camp. That camp actually was basically before was Haitian. They use it to house Haitian refugees.
Okay.
Then they add extra blocks. So when I look at those men, I mean, like, so the guards used every 10 minutes would come bang on the fence and wake you up to reorganize the stuff that they give you. They call it like water bucket, shit bucket, sandals, soap, and you have to keep switch these. The first time I did
Switching these.
like reorganize them. For example, you have the water bucket, shit bucket, and you have the soap. Then you have for example, the sandals,
Or the flip-flops.
flip-flops, basically.
Okay.
Then they will tell you, no, start now with the flip-flops.
Oh, so they give you the way you have to organize those.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
okay.
every 30 minutes, you have to keep
Every half an hour.
every half an hour. They would ask you to keep reorganize them in a certain way. They have a paper, and they tell you do this, do this, do this. So the first time I did it, the second time I said no, I'm not doing it, because it didn't make sense, to me. Like, why I'm doing this? Why you wake me up? My brother
And this is during the night.
during the night. So my brother, like the Danish guy, like he was older than me, was like in his 30s. He said, Mansoor, please do it, or they beat you. I said, I don't care. The guard told me, I just went to sleep. 5 minutes, ERF team came again, immediate reaction force, and I got beating. So what I did, when they came the third time, I threw them away. I threw everything out. So when they came third time, they came and they put me in it. They shackled my hand and my leg behind me, and they left me this until morning. So I said, I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will never do it. For me, it didn't make any sense. Also, at the thing I have seen at the black site, compared to that's nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, you get treated in the worst way. What they did now is nothing. Like, I'm not going to do it. So, and I wasn't like brave. I was like a tribe man who was just stubborn, and just the way it is. Respect me, I respect you. Like, respect for respect, disrespect for disrespect. That's it. So that's kind of spark. At that time, I didn't know what. It was a spark of resistance. So the other brother did the same as I did. And they beat him really bad. He was like, they broke his head, bleeding. So my brother thought I was brave. I wasn't, because when someone put you in worse situation and put you in that one, is nothing compared to that. So they kept that way, rotating, and, serving really little food. And now we started whispering to each other, people close to you. My neighbor was Danish, Afghani, Pakistani, Chad, Saudi Arabia, Turkish, Tajikistan, and I don't know how many countries. So we started asking each other about, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your story? And people are afraid to tell a story because we don't know each other. There is no trust here. So it's a new world. For me, everyone in orange suit, everyone is good. Everyone in the military suit, bad. I mean, this is how you visual, because those people hurt you. People have done unspoken things to you. This is now how you start judging people. And they kept bringing people. There was, at the same time, the army people were workers, American soldiers were building new blocks. And whenever there is a new people arrived, or a new detainees or prisoners arrive, it's like state emergency in the camp. Again, you cannot stand, you cannot talk, you cannot even move. You sit in the floor just like that. If you try to stand or to talk, it's like extreme force, beating always. We spent like that for almost like a month. And intense interrogation started.
That's when intense interrogation started.
Yeah, when you arrived first, you are going at the beginning and the very first. There was no like the interrogation started later in Camp X-ray, but what they did later, when you arrive from the airplane, process station immediately to the interrogation room. So, interrogation was really intense. FBI, CIA, MI, military intelligence, Homeland Security, NSA, all kind of teams, and there was no any kind of coordination between those agencies. Different teams, different interrogators treat you differently. Some of them nice, some of them really bad. Some of them beat you, some of them... You spent all your day in the interrogation rooms. Again, questions about Osama bin Laden, about Mullah Muhammad Umar, about the dirty bomb, about the nuclear bomb, about the new attack, about sleeper cells, about all kind of bullshit. So my profile was this Adil. And every time I'm not that person. Okay, they changed the name, but they tell us about how you attack the Nairobi and Dar es Salaam in Africa. Tell us about the money laundering. And when you talk to them, everyone look at you as a well-trained, hardened Al-Qaeda general. And everyone like, this is the guy we need. They had no names, no profiles, no photos of the men they had. What the CIA did, they bought these people and they just shipped them to Guantanamo, and they thought, the government, they said, we're going to send our best interrogators to sort these files. So now let us just pause here. Why Guantanamo was it chosen, that place? You know, everything wasn't just random. Everything was planned, and with consultation with the, like, especially Americans, like, as I told you, they were organized. They have consultation teams, wherever. So Guantanamo was a chosen place. When it said Guantanamo as a military prison, it's a military prison inside the military base. So,
in Cuba.
In Cuba. It was created outside of the justice system, outside of our humanity, outside of any kind of law. American Constitution doesn't apply. Geneva Convention doesn't apply. Cuban law doesn't apply. Animal law doesn't apply. Devil's law doesn't apply. Nothing applied at Guantanamo. So when we arrived at Guantanamo, we didn't know where we were, and we tried to figure out the first time, like, where should I pray? Because when we pray as Muslims, we face Mecca.
Yes, of course, east.
East, basically. At that place, like,
you have no idea where east is.
You have no idea, nothing. You feel like there is only hills. At the same time, you cannot see the sky, the stars, nothing, because bright lights. And we start debating from the very first moment. Someone said we are in Bahrain. Some said in Oman. Some in Oman. Someone read in the, like, there was like the vibes for the cages made in India. They said we are in India.
Oh, so the wires in the cages, they said made in India. Okay.
So basically, and like,
you had no idea where
we had no idea. So when we pray, some of us prayed that direction, some of that direction, like, because now you have to use your best way to figure out how to where to pray. So,
but the sun direction, you haven't seen the sun?
I mean, this is one of the things, like, you cannot determine the direction by the sun too.
Okay.
So basically, like, some of them okay because you can see between the east and west where you pray. But again, it depends on your location where because, for example, in the north, in the south, where are you? The location that can determine the sun movement.
Okay. Okay.
So we spent that way just because it was, as I told you, a classified place, prison. Nobody knows about it. We spent that 3 months until a new group, and then until they moved us into a new camp called Kamp Delta. They built a new camp made of shipping containers.
Okay. Yeah.
So they built this prison. Before we jump to that, this is how we figure when Guantanamo, when a new group arrived, these men were when we brought to Guantanamo, they were free. Then they got arrested. Then they said, guys, you're in a place called Guantanamo in Cuba. Okay, well, Cuba, huh? So when we told the first time we told the interrogators and the guards we were in Cuba, who told you? Like they were like, it is like something big. So basically, when I remember one of the brother went to the interrogators and he told them, we are in Cuba, we are in Guantanamo, exactly, in your Navy base, and that's something big to tell to your interrogators. Like, how do you know that? The guard were called for interrogations. Like when the guard, because they have meetings, like they have like before they come to work in the camp and after they leave, who told the prisoners, who told the person they were in Cuba? And that lasted for weeks until we told them, like the menu brought from, again, the new groups. So we spent 3 months in Camp X-ray, and the first month we went on hunger strike, and hunger strike was big part of our life.
Well, but before that, because you started telling the story that after the first month, they have prepared you for intense interrogations. Yes.
So
you basically spent 3 months in the black site, and then 1 month in Guantanamo. That's 4 months.
3 weeks in Kandahar.
Okay, so 3 weeks in Kandahar, and 1 month in Guantanamo.
Now in Guantanamo, the first month. So let us talk first about pause a little with Guantanamo.
Okay.
As we said, it was created at that place. So basically, talk about what kind of people who arrive at Guantanamo. So basically, there was 50 nationalities.
50
nationalities.
15 or 50?
50.
50.
Okay. 50 nationalities. Over 20 languages spoken.
Yeah.
You have different ages from few months old until 105 or 105.
So the oldest detainee was 105-year-old.
Yes.
Wow.
The youngest was only a few months old. A baby brought along his father. He was kept at the baby was kept at the hospital.
Oh my God.
So basically, all Muslims, all deemed to be the worst of the worst terrorists, hardcore terrorists at the, as Rumsfeld named us. As prisoners, in reality, they didn't call us prisoners, they call us detainees. That means to avoid
legal consequences.
No, Geneva Convention.
Okay.
So you have no rights now. Whatsoever, you have no rights. As prisoners, when we arrived there, we had no shared life, as I told you before. And this is really important point. We didn't know each other's name. We never saw each other before. Prisoners were brought from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Bosnia, Mauritania, Africa, Saudi Arabia, in different countries.
Yeah.
CIA was paying, countries were selling. And
so CIA was paying for the detainees.
They were paying
prisoners.
actually a ton of millions of dollars.
Okay.
So basically, and I met with the Bosnians who brought from Bosnia to Guantanamo, and I will tell you later on about their story, and because I met them and talked to them. Each country, you had no choice. You have to give them what they want, the American what they want, or face the consequences. Yeah. This American democracy, this American government democracy. When I say Americans, I didn't mean the people. I mean the government. So we started knowing each other little by little. Like, my name is so and so, but to the Americans, you're just a number. So Ghalib, I'll ask you a question. What makes Ghalib is a unique Ghalib?
Yeah, my life. Everything that creates my identity. Yeah.
So what's the thing that creates your identity?
Well, various different things. Let's start with family, let's start with things I love, the things I'm interested in, experiences I've had, that forged the way I see myself, I see the world around me,
Yeah.
you know, and many different things.
So-
we can go on.
Yeah.
right?
So basically, what makes a person as a unique person are these characters. As you said, your experience,
Yes.
your knowledge, your memories, your emotions, your language, your name, your family, your relationships, your nationality.
Yeah.
That will make you as a unique person. Imagine when someone took you, kidnap you, snatch you from all, and put you that place. You become just a number. And in prison, the more you stay, the more you are distanced from who you are. You would start constructing a new life, a new memories, a new knowledge, a new friendship, a new relationship, a new you.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if someone took your memories, you become a shell. Your experience, your knowledge, your emotion. So in jail, you would start constructing a new you. Imagine you spend 10, 15, 20 years that completely would distance you from the person who you are.
Distance you.
Yeah, distance you from the person who you were, and you become new you. At Guantanamo, that what happened exactly. And the system was designed to break you and to change you. Just to become, because we were denied to practice the simple things that make us who we are. For example, praying. You are not allowed to pray. You are not allowed to call by your own name. You become just
A number.
a number in the orange jumpsuit. That beautiful color that humans abuse. And I told you, Americans abuse that power. Because all colors are beautiful, are unique. Because our actions or our assignment for that color become like, oh, people, this color for this kind of people. No. These colors belong to all humanity, to all of us, and no one has any right to abuse them. So we become just those figures, living beings, in those cages, in those orange figures. This is our life now. So the more we stay, the more now we become part of each other's life. We become part of Guantanamo, part of the guard life, part of each other's life. That what I told you before Guantanamo, we had no shared life. Now, what would happen? We are going to build a new relationship, a new life, a new us. And anytime you connect to that person or to these people, you will start relive Guantanamo because this is where you met. This is the first time happened. And I will tell you later on we're going to talk about how that impact our life later on. So basically we started to live your day life, the things you do, like pray, eat, and try to figure out what's going on. On every face, there was like a million questions. Why? Where? For how long? And to where? Guantanamo was a unique place, not in a good way, because every prison, there's like a prison system where there's like a system exists, there is rules, there is customs, there is everything. But Guantanamo, it was created outside of everything. It's
Outside
like,
of all systems.
yes, it's like a black hole, basically. And soldiers or guards who work at Guantanamo, they were actually soldiers. They had no experience in dealing with prisoners or with detainees. And at the same time, there wasn't any kind of regulations or rules how to deal with these prisoners. Everything improvising, interrogation, food, treatment. And before the guards came to work at Guantanamo, they would be taken to Manhattan, where the Twin Tower collapsed, and they were told that people who did this are there in Guantanamo down there. Imagine as a soldier, they came full of hate, revenge. I mean, how they look at you and treat you. On the other side, as prisoners, we had no idea. I was like, most of us actually. So people would say, yeah, this guy tried to say everything was innocent. I'm not saying that. But what I can tell you, according to Seton Hall Law University report, based on the government document, that 86% of the prisoners in Guantanamo were either mistaken identity or sold for bounty money. Only 8% suspect to have tied to Al-Qaeda or Taliban. We talk about suspect to have 8%. Now, well, I'm saying this because before we go further, I don't want people to say, we are making stuff up. I'm trying to document everything and everything based in fact and as much as we can, because this is really important. Around 800 men arrived at Guantanamo. 30 men remain, 2 conviction, 10 in trial, out, and 3 still forever prisoners. And out of the 779, imagine. So we're going to talk in detail about that, but what I'm going to say here, that it is really important to understand how Guantanamo was created and how the process of sending people there. Mm-hmm. And, I think only 6% were caught by American forces. The rest were sold to the Americans.
So only 6 people were caught?
6%.
Yeah, 6 people were caught by United States military.
6%.
6%?
Yeah.
6%.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
So what I can tell you, like the rest were either sold or handed by their own government, for example, the Mauritanian, in Bosnia and other countries. So, it was case after 9/11. We all understand this, and we all know that. So, this is actually this basic information about Guantanamo. As president, we started, questioning what would happen to us and for how long we're going to stay, until when. And no answer. There was no answer. Only interrogation. Even interrogators, we felt they didn't know what they were looking for. Mm-hmm. They just random questions. And the first month, the treatment was bad, really bad, because no matter what, you cannot. You have each of us has a limit. So one day, during our pray, the guards, soldiers, they don't want you to pray. They don't want you to stand. They don't want to one of them opened the gate, the cage, and enter the cage, and they beat one of the prisoners. At that day, we all just. You cannot just stop us from praying. And it's not just that incident. It was accumulated since Qadnahar, because the humiliation, religion desecration, they used to take the Holy Quran, which Muslim dearest most, throw it in the shit bucket, and they would just step on it, kick it, and that it was too much. Also the beating and the humiliation, people had enough. So that one spark, it just we all in the block, 60 prisoners in the block, in the cages, we just all stood up and start. Now, before we just keep silence, and some of us me and others.
So it was an uprising.
Yeah, and I took
was that the first hunger strike?
Yes, that will lead to the hunger strike. So what I did, I took the shit bucket and I threw it outside there, and I told the guard, I'm going to throw it at you, basically. Yeah. And I'm we need people to stand. When I saw my brothers rise like that, I was I went extreme. Yeah. So then we started. Now we don't care. They start bringing the earth teams to beat us one after another, because they don't want that spread to the next city. Yeah. So I remember that night we start talking to each other about just ignore the guards. We were talking, what should we do? Because
this is the interesting thing. How did you communicate?
We were talking now.
Okay. So you were in the open space, seeing each other in the cages, and then you were openly talking.
Yeah, because here's the thing: it was cages, literally animal cages. Mm. Those chain-linked cages.
Yes.
So basically, there were 1, 2, 3 blocks. Each block has 10 small cages, and 1, 2, 3. Basically, we can communicate, we can talk, we can see each other. So then we start talking about what should we do. and someone said, hunger strike. What? British guy. He said, you know, the Irish people went on hunger strike, and Gandhi, like, this is my first time. What's a hunger strike, guys?
Yeah.
Like, they said, you know, you don't eat. What? They said, yeah, you don't eat. You just drink water. Or even no water, no food. But I don't want to die. It is forbidden in Islam to kill yourself. I don't want to kill myself. I don't want to die. They said, well, it's a way. And like, now we have to debate. We have to debate, a lot of debate. And like, Arabs talk too much, to be honest with you. Arabs just talk too much. So my friend Yusuf, yes, he went on hunger strike. As came from tribe society, you cannot just eat while your neighbor cannot eat. I said, I cannot eat. Why? That's like, I had to join him. Then brothers decide to join. So we went on hunger strike that day. Decide like, it just, the first day, because as Muslims, we fast Ramadan. The first day was easy, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can go. And I stopped drinking water. The second day, by evening, I couldn't continue because I needed water. And my Danish neighbor said, like, you have to drink water if you need to continue, because the weather was hot. So I drink water. Then we went on hunger strike the first time for 9 days.
9 days.
9 days. It's the first time, and it was. Then the general came. There was two generals. One of them was nice. The other was like really bad. The nice guy came and he sat on the floor. He said, "Look, guys, we had no idea what's going to happen to you. To be honest with you." He said, "But what I can tell you that there is people from Washington would come and will look in your cases. The White House would send people to look into your cases." And he told us, honestly, I believe that 90% of you shouldn't be here.
Mm.
And at that time, like, we had, like, yeah, the general said, and we negotiate with them about, you know, praying, about talking, about like going to the shower. We needed shorts for the shower, about, you know, the things that to preserve our dignity as humans. And so he said yes, and that was something.
Yeah, this was a big win for you.
Big, like, yeah, we could do something and we could achieve something here. It wasn't just something, it was something. So now...
Showering is interesting. You had the right to shower once a week, right?
Once
for
a
2
week,
minutes.
but they have to take you naked, male and female, and they have to search you in front of everyone. And I honestly, I never did it. I always refused, and I get beating, and they would drag me and shower me and bring me back. It's the only way, because I'm not gonna
drag you, shower you, yeah. And
because
bring you back.
I'm not gonna. I cannot. I will never just take my clothes off. I can't. I can't. So when I refused, they would bring the earth team, strip me naked, drag me and shower me and throw me in the cage. You know, like, so you have no choice in that matter. And some other brothers did the same, and some of the others, you know, they just, you know, different people, you know, they have different way in handling things and taking things. You know, everyone have their limit, their own force, and so after. Then when we start talking, like now, there was a problem. There's a language barrier. Now people speak Arabic, Urdu, Pashto, German, French, Turkish, Uyghurs. It's just like, oh no, how to communicate. And that was very interesting. Like, we are going to talk, yeah. If you read my article just published yesterday in the Humanity Journal, just called The Beautiful Gvantanamo, it's actually what I did. I wrote about the beautiful side of Gvantanamo. And it's the first and unique writing. So when you look at the painting of Guantanamo, it was really beautiful, painful, sad, and unique painting of Guantanamo as a whole. I mean, the painting of the detention. You have 50 nationalities, 20 languages spoken, different mindset. All kind of people. You have teachers, engineers, lawyers, journalists, psychologists. I mean, about the prisoners. I'm not talking about the guards. You have mafia. You have thieves. You have a squad that were sent by the Saudi to assassinate Osama bin Laden. You have CIA informant who was caught by the Taliban and was brought to Guantanamo. You have Taliban ambassador. You have,
People from all walks of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like very
You had
interesting.
farmers,
Farmers,
mountain
divers,
people like you.
So you have like young, old, like this is the painting of Guantanamo. So, and we started talking to each other, become to know each other. We start sharing our stories, our life, our culture. Talk about songs, about the food, about tradition in certain things, celebration in marriage, celebration in days, about like for example what Yemenis knows about, what Saudis know about, what Pakistanis or Afghanis knows about, like this kind of stuff. And also at the same time, part of make you as a person, as a human being, is your knowledge. The toolkit we brought with us, one of it, the important thing was the knowledge you have, experience in life. So you have professors, you have teachers, you have divers, you have pilots, and we had no books, we had nothing, we had only each other, and that meant that played the biggest role in one of the biggest role in our survival at Guantanamo, having each other, having you as a person, as a human, as having your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom, whatever.
Your stories.
So basically we started to try to learn something here. Interesting, like now we have a lot of time and people start learning about anything they can. Cooking, for example. When someone was giving a class in cooking, first of all, what you need to cook today? Like, for example, lamb with rice. So first of all, a chef, we have like chefs. Said first of all, cooking things is like painting. And cooking is not just for you. It's about the people they're going to eat. So we start, for example, talking about, going to the market, buying stuff. And
So this was just like a made up stories that how you need to.
No, he was a chef and he teach you.
He was a chef, yeah, but he was just telling you.
Yeah.
There was no way to practice.
Yeah,
all
to
of those
practice.
things.
It's just now we go to the market. No, we have like 500 guests. It's a wedding of Ghalib, for example.
Yeah.
And there is people, they have like, you have people, they don't eat certain things. And you have to prepare this kind of stuff for these people. And these people, they have allergy of that stuff. You have to be aware of that. Like, okay, well, it's not just you cook, they are not animals, feed them. No, you have to be aware of what kind of guests. First of all, we go to the market today. We're going to buy the vegetables, check the onions, check the potato, check the meat, how to know the meat is fresh. And like people experience in that. And cooking now, yay, you cut the onion, you cut the potatoes, you like prepare the oil, and it's like, you feel like you're living it basically. And you adjust the fire and like throw the onion in the oil, like shh, it get burned. Part of the cooking you have to get burned sometimes.
So this was your pastime, the way you were.
Yeah, and like it's like here's that like the beautiful thing as humans. Each human, they have like their own way of teaching things, approach things, talking about things. Like you can bring two people to talk about one experience, but it will be different way of telling the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then we're going to talk later about marriage classes, not now because that happened later. Yeah. And one of the most interesting classes about marriage. So the first 3 months we spent at Camp X-ray. I remember prisoners were talking about World Cup that time they were talking about World Cup.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I read your article in The Guardian a few days ago about the World Cup from the Guantanamo point of view.
Yeah, so basically people try after the trauma and people start getting little hope because the general said someone would come from Washington or the White House would send to someone. They said, we're going to catch up with the World Cup. And after 2 months,
That was the World Cup in which one? That was 2002.
2002 was
2002 Tokyo, like Japan and Korea.
and South Korea.
South Korea,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
And then 2006 was Germany, right?
Yes. So basically, what happened after 2 months? Interrogators came, and the guards came to each of us. They need to take new photos.
Yeah.
Why? Because I told you the photos they were taken when we at the press station. They give it like the bracelet. We couldn't recognize ourselves. Like, we were in very bad shape, messed up. And when they give other people to look at photos, nobody couldn't recognize those photos. And when they used to bring interrogators, used to bring photos of us naked, whole body and beating. And trust me, it's like way also of torture because they had to like have piles of photos. After 2 months, they came and they took new photos where we start like now looking not as healthy and not beaten as in the first photos. That I told you like they changed the photos. So Guantanamo was also changing, growing, evolving every time. So started with Camp X-ray. Now they moved to Camp Delta, shipping containers. So they built Camp 1, 2, 3, 3 camps. Started with the names of the blocks started with Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, except
like ABC.
Yes, except from there was no Julia. There was Romeo, but no Julia. And until there, I said, why they didn't they name any of the blocks Julia? Because there was like Alpha, Romeo, Charlie, and so on. And you have like, we said, brother, we have Romeo, but where is Julia? They didn't name any of the camps, blocks with Julia.
Okay.
So, romantic way anyway, the romantic stories. So, we were moved again from, when they came to move us from Camp X-ray, it's also like, it was kind of scary story again, to Camp Delta. And because the interrogators used to tell us, you're going to be executed here. Because the world we thought the world knew nothing about us.
Yeah.
And the interrogators, they said, you had no value, you have no values, so they're going to throw you to the sea. And speculation from our some prisoners, they said, or wearing this color orange, that means they're going to execute us. So they moved us from Camp X-ray to Camp Delta. Then where we found that we were in Guantanamo. When the new group arrived, prisoners, they brought new group too, and they told us you were in Guantanamo. They said, we heard about you, we heard about your hunger strike, and it was a big, I'm like, wow. Now,
But how did they know you were in Guantanamo?
Because
they were free men.
They were free at that
so
time.
they heard it on the news.
Yes.
Oh,
so they
okay,
were.
okay.
Some of them were in Pakistan, and Pakistani government,
Told them
they were hunting Arabs that time, any Arabs, regardless. So they brought Afghan students, professors. So there at that time, like I met in the blocks, Eco Block, I met an Afghani guy, and they used to take him weekly or every 2 weeks to visit his son at the hospital. His son was just a baby. They thought the baby maybe related to Osama bin Laden, so they brought him with the father. They spent around like maybe 10 months, and they released both the son and the father.
They have released them.
Yeah. So basically, we tell him like about his son. He said he cannot see him just from far. He just like there's a glass, and they will let him to stay like maybe 30 minutes to look at him and bring him back.
Oh my
For
God.
2 weeks. Yeah. This is one of the saddest story. And some people say, why media did report that? There's no media access to Guantanamo. The first time lawyers were allowed to come to Guantanamo was in 2004.
That's 2 years after you were incarcerated.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to talk about the process of that. So when we arrived in the new camp, because honestly, personally, I thought they're going to throw us, execute us, because there was no any kind of sign of releasing us. And what, sometimes you try to analyze anything because you had no fact, no input that you can try to predict what would happen and to have like any idea about what was going to happen. So imagine they came, took us again the same way they brought us, hooded, chained, and I think I was the last person who left the area where I was. The last bus who left Camp X-ray. They moved us to solitary confinement because we were the last of us. And they threw all the stuff. First in the morning, they brought big bags. And one of the brothers said they brought body bags. And
Wait a second, I'm trying to understand you. So why did they put you into solitary confinement?
we'll talk about that later. Just let me tell you.
Okay.
Because now when I arrived we haven't left.
When you
Camp
arrived
X-ray.
to the Kamp Delta.
Yeah. So they Camp X-ray the last day, when they come to move us to Camp Delta.
Mm-hmm.
One of the brothers, they brought like really a lot of bags. He said they brought body bags. And what? I mean, this is the moment now.
Yeah.
Like, brother, they said they meant like they want to get rid of us or kill us or whatever. Body bags. And, so each of us, people start praying, and just last moment, some of them, like, and we had no idea. Honestly, you didn't know what to expect. You didn't know how to analyze the situation. So they left all the stuff behind, really. And those bags were for the stuff they brought.
Okay.
So basically, I was the last person, and I saw the guards bring the bags and put the stuff there, like the blankets that you have, because in your cage, you had blanket, you have towel, you have like plastic isomat, call it
isomat.
isomat, yeah, and that's it. So when they came to move me to Camp Delta, I was one of the last people who was in the last bus.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like hooded, goggles, muffs, over my headphones like that, and they chained me to the bus and drove until I walked. Then I climbed stairs, cement stairs, because now everything is just hooded. Then the first time I step on the block, the floor of the star, it is like a metal. So the chains on my legs hit the floor, and you can hear this like, okay,
metal hitting metal sound.
Yes, yeah. Then like I heard someone open the door, and when I step in, someone removed the hood and removed the stuff. The guards. When I look, I was in the black side, but I never saw the place I was in. But this one, it's really small cage, 2 meters and 2 meters.
2 by 2.
Yeah.
That's really small.
Yeah, really small. And really bright light. Like, you see those truck big lights.
Mm-hmm.
And on the ceiling, there was also opening like that.
What from the ceiling?
There was like small opening.
Small opening in the ceiling, okay.
Where is like air.
Coming in, yeah.
Really cold. On the back, you have a small van, like ventilation. Then you have half of the cell, a bed, like take 1 meter, where you can like walk, and by the end of that 1 meter, there's like a toilet and a sink, and the door. Everything is just closed. It's just really a box, metal box, literally.
Okay.
And like in the middle of the door, there was like a bean hole.
Beanhole, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and two of them, one for the hand and for the legs.
And they put food probably through those beanholes, yeah, okay.
So and there was a small window also covered with glass and fans.
Okay.
So they remove everything and they just shut the door completely, and the light was off. And remind me about this.
So they switched off the light, so it was complete dark.
Complete dark, and really.
And this is a solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement, and the van on the back really loud, cold air, and they brought big fan in front of the gate, the door. It's like a helicopter,
Okay.
and the echo. It was like, oh. So
So it was cold, it was
Cold,
loud,
dark.
and it was dark.
dark, and like we have
And
like
small.
and you have a really thin blanket and isomat. That's it, and the orange jumpsuit you have. And there was no food that day. So
That was your introduction to Kamp Delta.
Kamp Delta, yeah, and like I spent that way almost like 6 months.
You spent 6 months like that.
6 months, yeah. They turned the light on sometime, off sometime, And I went through
Depending on what and how bright was the light.
really, really bright. I told you.
So it was like the headlights, like
You see-
strong, bright lights.
Yes, really, really strong. So it was then intense interrogation almost every day.
Inside of the...
No, there was interrogations blocks.
Oh, okay.
So in Camp X-ray, they had like a makeshift wood rooms,
Mm-hmm.
but now they build a new in Camp Delta. They built a new interrogation rooms,
Okay.
which is like designed for interrogation, and always like tie you to the floor. So it's another story. So then intense interrogation started. Again, over new interrogation, new people, new interrogators, and
I think I think it's very important for people to know that these intense interrogations, and they were designed by the prison. They were designed for each prisoner specifically, right? Like you were assessed by psychologists and psychiatrists.
yeah, of course. But we will go into that because the real torture hasn't started yet.
Oh my God!
So the fun, and I mean, like not the fun, but the real
Guantanamo starts there.
hasn't started yet.
Yeah,
Imagine
all of
like-
those black sites.
The black side is different,
Yeah,
but we can say that systematic abuses and torture hasn't started yet.
Oh my God!
So when we moved to Camp again, because as I told you, even the interrogator, American intelligence agencies, they were working independently. Like they weren't coordinating with each other. They weren't there was no cooperation at that time, and everyone wanted to get their hand of a treasure or information, whatever they want.
Yeah.
So, and also they had no mechanism how to interrogate those prisoners. And they had no fact, no photos, no profiles, nothing. Even some of the government and countries, they didn't know who are these people. So it was a big mess. Moved to Camp Delta, I spent almost in this solitary confinement. They would take me once every 2 months, 24 hours, and bring me back.
So you spent in. So let me just if I understood it right. So you spent 6 months in solitary confinement, and every 2 months they would take you out for 24 hours.
Yeah,
and bring you back to solitary
Yes.
confinement.
I spent
And the solitary confinement was dark.
I can tell you, solitary confinement, I spent 8 years in Camp Delta. Out of 15 years, I spent 8 years, almost, or 9 years in solitary confinement.
Oh my God!
So if you talk, it's not just 6 months. I spent around 15 years at Guantanamo. Around 9 years of that in solitary confinement. So, intense interrogation. What I did when I arrived at Guantanamo, they asked me to write a letter. So I said, yeah, why not? I wrote a letter to Yemen president. And that was another thing, it was one of the things that contributed to my tournament at Guantanamo. They thought I was related to Yemen president.
They thought.
I was related to Yemen president.
Oh my God!
So ICRC came and they said, they came also to ask me questions. They said, what's your relationship with the Yemeni president? I said, I can't tell you. And the interrogation tried to also to they want me to convince that I'm related to him. I said, it's not. It just, we all like tribes. And as a Yemeni, he should take responsibility of my case. And when I left Yemen, I had a permission for my own government.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Guantanamo continue like that. Buildings, building new camps. They built also black sites in Guantanamo, camps nobody knew about them. They built a new camp called Camp Echo. So you have 1, 2, 3. Then by the end of 2003, there was a turning point in Guantanamo. Now, this is what the real Guantanamo started. Forget about the Camp X-ray, forget about everything. Someone arrived at Guantanamo called General Jefri Miler. For those who don't know General Jefri Miler, he was the architect of Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq. So he worked in Guantanamo before he moved to Iraq. And he was sent by Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney to Iraq to getmetize it. So when the man... To getmetize it, like, to make it like Guantanamo.
Oh, okay.
So when the man arrived at Guantanamo, a short, ugly general, the first day he assumed command of the camp, almost everyone get beating. That night, I was in solitary confinement. And they brought earth teams, not teams, dogs, and they would open the door and drag you out, search you, and beat you literally. And this is the first day what he did. Like everyone, every black, every cell, every prisoner, confiscated everything, beat everyone. Then he created what they call Joint Task Force. Joint Task Force, GTF. And he's the first one who wrote Guantanamo SOP, means Standard Operation Procedure.
Okay.
So how detainees, everything, treatment, interrogation. He also brought all the interrogation together and everything.
So he was the one who organized all of those different aspects of Guantanamo.
Everything, basically. And everything should go under total control for the interrogation and interrogators, no matter what. Everything worked that way. Medical, guards, everything. Psychologists were brought, advisors, and everything. So everything basically was the real Guantanamo started now. So what he did too, like in military, there is a chain of command, like
yes.
General. In Guantanamo, he should like the camp general, the base general, and the Southern Command general. Then that one communicate with the Pentagon.
Okay.
General Jefri Miler skipped all that, and he created his own channel, which is communicate directly with Dallas Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney. Dallas Rumsfeld that time also approved the torture at Guantanamo. There is like a memo approved by Rumsfeld, torture at Guantanamo. I can show it later. So basically, now the systematic torture started at Guantanamo. So, because for almost like a year when the interrogation, the files arrived to the Pentagon, they said, there is no value of these men. They have no values. They're not Al-Qaeda. They were not Taliban. And they have, they were sure about it. Even like Dallas Rumsfeld in his speeches, he said, most of prisoners are dirt farmers. But, however, the Pentagon have had another mission for Guantanamo. And we'll talk about it. So, from a military perspective, General Jefri Miler started developing a technique to interrogate and extract information from the prisoners. If you go now, just Google Guantanamo America's Battle Lab.
Guantanamo America's
Battle Lab. But Guantanamo basically was turned into experimenting lab on prisoners. We
Okay.
were just subject. So being a subject, that means you are dealing with the well-funded, organized, experienced army. They face a new enemy called Muslims. So they need to study what kind of enemy, how to interrogate them, how to extract the information, how to deal with them, how they talk, how they negotiate, how they behave. So for them, it was like a perfect place. There is no legalities. Place doesn't exist in the map of humanity, of system, judicial system, or justice. And you have this kind of different mindset around like 800 men, different ages. They created different camps. And each camp had a different set of rules. Now you bring to the table, Guantanamo turned to be experimenting lab on prisoners. And when I'm saying that, if you go to the research by Seton Hall University, you can find the research. I can send it to you later, called Guantanamo's American Battle Lab. How General Jefri Miler and the Pentagon turned Guantanamo to experiment on prisoners, because they said this is going to help them to understand their enemy, and also at the same time would save American soldiers on the battlefield. So imagine you end up being just
A
subject all for the experiment. Now, interrogations, systematic torture, inhuman treatment started Guantanamo. Not just in the interrogation rooms, in the blocks. Everything about control, and everything is controlled. So whatever you need, food, clothes, even air, trust me, the way you smell things in solitary confinement, it is everything related to interrogators. So when they used to put me in the bright light, I used to complain to the interrogator, to them like, I don't want to be in the dark, because I like the dark, because the light hurt my eyes. So they will turn the light every time, and the interrogator, they said, if you cooperate with me, I will turn the light on. So basically now, also as prisoners, we have to understand. It took us years and years and to understand the system we live in, because Guantanamo rules also, they call the SOP, changes every 2 weeks average, and everything under control. If you are sick, you won't be treated unless your interrogators say so. Psychologists assess your mental status and psychological health, and would give tips to the interrogators.
Oh my God, yeah,
So-
that's the worst.
So everything.
So psychologists and psychiatrists would do evaluation of you, and then they would design a specific torture by those evaluations given by psychiatrists.
Guards collect information about you, cameras, everything. So basically, the more you stay, the more the more you stay, the more you become like weaker, and the more you get tortured, the more you get like miserable. And every 1 year, a new group would arrive, fresh guard, camp staff, interrogators, new, and they will start over and over again. The same vision and mission of Guantanamo that was set by General Jefri Miler. And I ask you guys, please Google who is General Jefri Miler.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you all saw what happened in Abu Ghraib in Iraq. So in 2000, by the end of 2003 and 2002, he arrived. 2003 also started, they start building up, and interrogation started, not just interrogation and systematic torture. They can do whatever they want. They just experimenting also. We never stopped the hunger strike, on and off, because that time when I spent like in solitary confinement, sometime I would go on hunger strike because there's a lot I couldn't handle it. So what I did, I would go on hunger strike. When you go on hunger strike, again, what they do, every 10, 20 minutes, they would knock on the door. And you have not just, you have to wake you up and you have to stand. Sometimes the guard would bring bright light in your eyes. Like, so basically, you cannot continue regardless. So we tried, what they did now, they separated us in different camps. And there was no communication. You cannot communicate with other camps. They brought generators, loud generators.
Loud generators.
Between camps. In the blocks, there was like big loud fans, especially in strategic confinement. And they brought also vacuums, you know, the vacuum you clean the floor. They brought those vacuums loud, so loud. It just, you feel there's like a drill in your head. You feel like every single cell in your body screams. And it keeps you disoriented. You cannot sleep well. In strategic confinement, you don't know what the time is. You cannot. You know, it's night. You know when the shift change. There's like they have 3 shifts at that time. Morning, evening, and night. Then they made them only 2 shifts. The soldiers, they came to work on Guantanamo, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard.
Okay.
So imagine those rotate all the time. And one of the worst people we met there was like 9-4 unit, I read about in the book, where those were from New York, then the Marines. However, you know, like we tried to resist too, you know, because we were just react to whatever they threw at us, you know, and they wanted that. They wanted, you know, how would you behave? How would you react? How you do behave as individual and as in group? How you guys communicate? How you make your decisions? It's not just you're dealing with just chaos. No, Americans, they're not like a kind of chaotic people. When it comes especially to Guantanamo, they are people organized and psychologists, psychiatrists. They have advisors, military advisors, Arab people from background. They have like about each nationality, interpreters from different countries, experiment. They have also consultant to help them how to tame that beast they have there. In 2003, they brought someone called chaplain, a Muslim chaplain. It's kind of sweet, right? To have a chaplain.
Chaplain.
It is a person who's like a Muslim chaplain, work for the army as an army captain, like educate the soldiers about Islam, how to treat, and give them the idea about, you know, Muslims and so on, and help them to understand.
Like a religious expert.
Exactly. But he also worked for the army.
Okay.
At that time, during General Jefri Miler, a nice guy arrived. His name was James Yee, military captain. I think Gulf War veteran, and he worked now as a chaplain because he was a Muslim, and he came to Guantanamo to serve his own country like any soldier. But when he arrived at Guantanamo, he came at the worst, one of the worst times, basically. General Jefri Miler, the religion was used to experiment on prisoners too, because if you value religion, I'm not going to allow you to pray. I'm going to take your holy Quran and throw it in the toilet and pee on it. And also some of female interrogators, they would use, or they like blood on our faces, and it's like sexual assault, rape, and you name it. It happened, all waterboarding. James C, as his job, you know, like that shouldn't happen, especially desecrating the religious, the second religion or the Holy Quran. And General Jefri Miler view him as a threat because he will be an obstacle in this way. What he did, you know, he and Air Force interpreter, the one who actually were against the way that detainees treated. Also, the interpreter was major in the Air Force. Imagine, like you have army captain, and you have Air Force major. Both of them were arrested, accused of espionage and aiding the enemy. James, and maybe he will come to visit, maybe we'll to do interview together here. So James was detained and interrogated for 76 days, and was also classified as enemy combatant, like us in Guantanamo. Simply look, I told you, there was no rules to whatever they can do. Imagine if they did that to their own, not just citizen, their own, one of them, a soldier, an army, a captain, a major, accused of espionage because he stood against the torture. What would they do to us? We are nothing to them. So that what happened like in 2003 to Jimsy. Jimsy after that was discharged from the army, honorable discharge, and I am in contact with him too. We have been like, we had did a few events together. We did the last event in last week about closing Guantanamo.
Online.
So, online. So basically, Ghalib, we as prisoners weren't just a victim of Guantanamo. There were also soldiers, camp staff, medical staff, interpreters, anyone who would stick to their humanity, anyone who would preserve their humanity, they were tested, and if they resist, they will pay the consequences. We pay from our lives, we pay dearly. But also those Americans were also victims of Guantanamo because, someone asked me the photo in the banner I show you. He said, "Who's that prisoner?" I said, "This is our humanity. This every human being there. It's not just one prisoner. It's all of us because." That shouldn't happen. Guantanamo shouldn't exist in the first place. So, General Jefri Miler, after when he
assumed position,
soon he was sent by the Rumsfeld. At that time, he was the Ministry of Defense of American Defense, Minister of Defense. He sent him to Iraq to give me ties Iraq there. So in 2002, before the invasion of Iraq, interrogators tried with some people. They told them, if you are willing to witness that there is a relationship between Osama bin Laden and Saddam, we will take you to New York. You will be witness there. And we are going to take you to a country, change your nationality, your name, bring your families and everything. Yes, all we need you to do is that you said, yes, there is a relationship between Saddam and Osama bin Laden. This guy, I talked to him personally, he was Al-Qaeda propagandist, the one who did like stuff like that, editing, recording, and so on. And he also was a student in Iraq. Mm-hmm. And they told him, if you said that there was a relationship between Saddam and bin Laden, Al-Qaeda, and you said that you were meddling this, we are going to, they have like a deal for him. He said no. And then in 2002, in 2003, they just invaded Iraq, and we know what happened after that. So during that time, during Abu Ghraib scandals, what happened there, actually the one who was in charge was General Jefri Miler. In 2000, after they took the chaplain position, again, like the interrogation never stopped. But on the other side, as prisoners, we were rotated all the time, from a block to block, from camp to camp. And like for me and my friend, we call the Red Eye. The Red Eyes were rotated from solitary confinement to solitary confinement.
Okay.
From like, they have India block, November block, Oscar block, Camp Echo. So they were rotating us like, because we were accused as instigators or detainees leaders and so on. And because also in jail, each person can choose. Sometimes you cannot choose how the way you live. Sometimes you can get choice. But for us, for me, seeing people suffer, it hurt me more the interrogator or the guards. I wasn't trying to escape, honestly. We thought, okay, let us do something. We knew some people had to stand and has to fight and have to bear the consequences, regardless. Because imagine one day I was like in those cages, because as I told you, like in Kamp Delta, there was like shipping containers. They would divide into 48 cells,
Okay.
two rows,
okay.
each row, 24 cell.
Okay.
So, and one day they took me from the solitary confinement to those cages, which you can see each other through the fence. My neighbors was 105 years old, 103 years old, all of them like old Afghanis. And trust me, this is the worst scene you will ever see. Someone 105 years old gets chained, shackled, pushed to the rickyard. What would you do? What would you do? So I fought with the guards, you know. If the guard treat them okay, it's okay. If the guard tried to push them or treat them bad, we could splash them with water, spit on them, fight with them, wherever. Also seeing those kids. You know, in Guantanamo, there was around 60 kids between age 12 and 18. So we are talking about 60, not 16, 66, and including the baby who was with his father there.
Yeah.
So in 2000, we went on hunger strike, and at the same time now, we become to each other. You know, like the hardship, the inhuman treatment, the torture. It also forged some kind of strong bond of friendship, brotherhood, and like solidarity with each other. Because there was also, honestly, some nice guards, some nice doctors who tried to help. You know, some of the guards, they were shocked. You know, some of the guards, when they first came, they were told there's terrorists. If you take your eye one second, they will split your neck. But those guards also were conflicted. Why? Imagine I tell you about these men, just you hear my words. But when you come, we live with the prisoners every day. You bring their food, their clothing, move to the rig, talk to them, watching, eating, drinking, shitting, sleeping, whatever. You know what kind of criminal, you can spot a criminal. I mean, like, you become...
Over time.
Over time, 6 months, 1 year. And actually, some of the guard converted to Islam, many cases. And I have done a few events with the former guards. One of them actually called me 2 weeks ago. He said, like, I always search after your number, and I found you. We have a good conversation. Maybe next year we are going to have a big conference, bring former guards, former prisoners, former interrogators, and those officers. We're going to have conference together, all of us. So some of the guards, like, they understood that was so wrong.
Yeah,
and they would come to apologize to you. You know, they would say, like, we are sorry. This is not our country. This is what we believe. That's what we enlisted in. But at the same time, you know, like, some of them actually left the military and they become activists. Because, and I can tell you, those people are victims for the system itself, you know. And I believe there's American values, you know. But at the same time, when people misuse and abuse power, and I can tell you, American justice system itself is a victim of those individuals. Because if they failed to try us before their justice system, and that's what we do at Guantanamo. We used to protest, we went on hunger strike, and we challenged them to try us before their own justice system. The system they accused us that we want to destroy as they classify as terrorists. So said, guys, look, if you think we're a terrorist, we have committed a crime, please try us before the justice system and sentence us.
Yeah.
You cannot keep us forever. So, but Guantanamo is still like it has a different mission and purpose. It's not about justice. It's not about Americans. It's not about 9/11 victims. It's not about anyone. It's about those people who misuse and abuse the system. It's about they serve their own interest, because invading Iraq was a mistake, big mistake. And how many people now get killed? What they call a global war on terror. Actually, it is war of terror. Who's the victims? We are the victims. Imagine, like, over 1 million died, over 35 million displaced. You know, how many people tortured and abused? How many people killed in the CIA under those brutal torture techniques? Nobody knows until now.
Well, when it comes to those brutal torture techniques, and how did it look for you? When did you realize that that intense interrogation program started? How did it start for you?
started in the black side.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about when Jefri Miler came. The switch. How did you when did you realize the
From
switch?
the very first moment, I told you, the first night he assumed
when the
command,
RF teams
everything
beat
changed.
everybody.
The camp rules, the treatment.
Yeah, but when it comes to torture, what was different? I can't imagine anything worse than it was.
It become more systematic and continuation and keep it evolving and become like they also, the more they did, the more practice they when they react, they observe and they can like know how to hurt you worse. But at the same time,
in the book you stated, for example, that there was someone, usually a female, who would sit next to your cell and would observe you 24 hours a day, not communicating with you, only writing down everything you do. Who was that?
You know, sometimes they would assign someone like from the guards to write everything about you. Even not just that. Let me tell you. Today, for example, Alpha Block, we have 4 guards. Every day, the guards got instructions. Okay? Observe that prisoner, what he asking, what he do, how he spend his time. Okay? Someone would come, take the chair, and would sit just in front of you and write. Like for a week, for 2, whatsoever. Not just that. Guards has to write reports when they interact with each prisoner. It was also hard on guards too, not just on us too, because guards, they couldn't keep with the demand from interrogation, because it wasn't about, like I told you, it's about studying. You become a subject, experimenting on. And when I tell you, like, the torture become more systematic, and it keeps also enhance the way you react. For example, if when the camp administration or interrogators wants chaos in the camp, what they would do? For example, take the Holy Quran, secrete it, throw it to the floor, and everyone will react, because it is something Muslims hold dear.
Okay.
You know, and no one will accept to do that. And that happened over and again. And they kept reset Gvantanamo, rotate prisoners. In 2004, things also, they convert one of the blocks, Romeo Block, as all know Julia. Romeo Block was one of the worst block in Gvantanamo. So what they did, I mentioned it in the book when they opened it, like at that night, they literally took the prisoners. We were the worst of the worst, literally, like fighting with the guards, splashing. They didn't take us, the first group. They took the one who stopped talking to the interrogators. They want you to talk, just talk, because they need to get inside your head. They need to talk. So they would take those prisoners. Some of them were high compliant, very polite. They never caused any problems. They never even cursed the guards. They dragged them, stripped them naked, and threw them naked in the cells for 2 weeks, 1 month. So it was like a rotation you have to go through it. Do you understand? Then in 2004, they opened
Romeo Block.
No, we already talked about it. Camp 5.
Okay.
Camp 5 also another way for interrogation. The first night they took around 70 to 100 prisoners. I wrote about in the book, like how when they took them, we thought when they, like also secrecy in Guantanamo, when they came to move them from Kamp Delta and Camp 4 to Camp 5, we thought they released them.
Okay. Yeah.
It was only a few months later when they brought some of them back, it was a shock for all of us, and it was like, and we thought Romeo is the worst. Then you have worse with Camp 5. So things get even worse. And when General Jefri Miler was in 2003, they also built Camp 4. Camp 4 is like the smile of Guantanamo, a communal camp where they call high compliant prisoners will move. They wear white cloth, uniform, live in communal rooms. They can play a soccer ball. this was the face of Guantanamo. They were like journalists came or delegation or visitors.
They would take them to Camp 4.
Yeah, this is how we treat them here. And there was like around only 60 or 70 prisoners at that time, maximum. And that was shut down in 2005. We'll go there, basically. So it wasn't just, like as I told, it was systematic and well organized and well planned. So basically, around 700 were crushed over and over again, only 70 prisoners. And from the first moment, I told the prisoners or my brothers, like, no one should go there until we all treat it the same way. So
yeah, they had the levels of imprisonment, basically, and you wrote it in the book. Like the bottom, the worst level was like 4S.
Yeah,
right. 4S, and then the top one would be like 1A or something like
this
that.
This was in the Kamp Delta, but Kamp 4 was different. Kamp 4 was a medium security camp. There was no levels, but in Kamp Delta you have level 1, level 1 plus, level 1, level 2 plus, level 3, level 4, C-ILUS, B-ILUS. So B-ILUS, you will be totally naked, either in solitary confinement or in the Kamp Delta, Black Delta, where psychologists and psychiatrists function.
Yeah.
But also everything, like you will be taken to the Delta Block. You will be tied naked. You will be given a shot. And the psychologist, like, the only way you have to talk to your interrogators. Like, everything designed for the interrogators. Like, and different people want different tactics, styles, and as I told you, for example, you arrive at Guantanamo as an interrogator, and you have your own way of interrogating prisoners. Okay, nobody will say no to you. Who's like your subjects? So at Guantanamo, when they call us, when they move us from Black, when they call, for example, the package. So when they told us you have, they didn't tell us you have interrogation. They said you have a reservation or you have appointment. You don't know where to go. You don't know how long to stay. So basically, every interrogator can do what they want. Some of the interrogators, they were in Guantanamo, they torture and interrogated Vietnamese during the war in Vietnam. And those people came to Guantanamo to torture and interrogate us. So why? Because there was no justice what happened in Vietnam. There was no accountability. And have you seen anyone charged or like held accountable for what they did? No. So now what we do, what we are trying to do, we call for the closure of Guantanamo. And the closure means also to bring justice, which means closing the prison, acknowledge that what happened there, also apologize for what have they done to us, and we need compensation. They have, because this is when we call justice.
Yes.
Other than this, there's no guarantee that Guantanamo is not going to happen again.
One thing that really struck me was you were basically a boy when you went to when they took you to Guantanamo. You were 18 years old. You turned 19 in Black Site, right? And everything that you're telling us right now happened between your 19 to 23 years old. This is just the beginning, basically. You had no concept of the world around you. You were basically just starting your life. You spent first part of your life you spent in the mountains. Then you found out.
Can I interrupt you here?
Yeah.
You know, in one of my interviews, a question that shocked me and I really cried. Someone in the interview like that asked me a question. He said, "How did you spend your 20s?" And I'm like, what? I really like, what? He said, "How did you spend your 20s?" When I looked, I said, I don't know. I don't know what 20s even means. Literally, I'm 40 years old. How I spent my 20s and 30s, I don't know. I don't feel I have ever lived 20s or 30s, because I lived my 20s in prison, tortured, abused, whatever. Then after Guantanamo is another story, which is like you have this kind of mental, psychological problem, PTSD, and you find yourself just being the extension of Guantanamo. So literally, sorry for interrupting. I'm just like, this is the thing that hits me when people say you live that, but when you said you live this, I was like, I don't know. I was just a lost, confused, hurt soul and live in those cages, move from place to place. I wasn't a hero. I was just reacting to whatever they threw at me.
Yeah, but one thing that struck me reading your book, you know, at the moment, from the moment the warlord captured you, and from the moment, you know, your story actually begins from Black Sites to Guantanamo, right? The first moment you meet with the first moment the reader meets your destiny, and the first moment when they're introduced to tortures and to interrogations and stuff like that, it's a huge shock. You know, it hits you like a freight train. It just obliterates you, and it's really difficult to read those experiences and go through them. But then something really weird happens. There's so much of it that you, in a weird way, don't get me wrong, please. You know, in a weird way, you got kind of accustomed to the torture again and again, all over and over and over again. And the moments that really shine in the writing are not the tortures anymore. They're not what, you know, they become like a normal thing throughout the book. The thing that starts to rise above those tortures are those small moments. For example, the things that struck me worse than tortures was the moments when you realized you are near the water, but you couldn't see the water. That kind of felt more heavy than any torture you described. The moments when you met the iguanas.
Yeah,
you know,
yes.
You know, the moments you met the iguanas, you know, the moments you heard the nightingale.
Yeah, and the solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement. You know, those kind of moments, they kind of make the story.
You know,
because torture is so out of so out of mind, so insane, so hard to comprehend. You know, it's almost like it's not a human experience. You know, it's truly unbelievable. You know, it's one thing you see it in American movies or whatever, you know, in pop culture, in propaganda, whatever. It's one thing you hear it and knowing it that way, but it's a completely different thing experiencing through somebody who actually lived it. You know, and you know, the way you react to those tortures while reading them, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but those moments when the humanity and when resilience shine through despite everything that happened, you know, you even have there's like a strong note of humor inside of it.
Yeah,
you know, your sense of humor didn't die.
So basically, like, here's the thing, like, of course, it is Guantanamo. It's part of our humanity, us all as human. It's like, it is piece of piece of fabric of the world. There was pain, but there was hope. There was, you know, suffering. There was love, life, hope. There was good moment, bad moment, happy moment. So, you know, one of the things, like, I love a story between a prisoner and a guard. A true love story, more than one. True love story. I mean, like, when I asked that person I met, I was like, can you tell me, please? Because I never been in love in my life at that time. I'm like, what does it feel?
You never been in love before.
Yeah. So basically,
your whole childhood, your whole development, everything was.
I mean, like, we live in a different culture, different society, and so on. So yeah. So like at Guantanamo, when I heard that, like, a prisoner who fell in love with one of the guards, a female guard, I went to him, like, when we met in 2011, because the story happened in Camp 2004 or 5, and I told him, can you tell me please about it? Because I need to find what does it feel? I feel something, but you really know what feels. So I told him, like, how you guys, it didn't make any sense for me. Like, she consider you your enemy, you are a prisoner. He said, look, Love does not play by our rule. And he showed me like a full notebook of letters between them and like a lot of poems. And he's still in Guantanamo. He was killed in 2009. And like I have around 80 pages of his poems. So this is one of the stories. There was also like, as I told you, a friendship, brotherhood. There was like friendship with guards, with some of the camp stuff. Like I think our humanity is stronger than anything. In the book, I tried to shed light on the shared humanity we have. Also, I tried to bring the readers to inside the detention. Trust me, when I was working with my editors, I was keen that we put only 20% of the hardship and so on, because I want to try something different. When I started writing that book at Guantanamo, the first time I wrote it, it was taken, confiscated. So we are going to talk in details how I wrote the book, how we managed to get it out. The second time, I wrote it as legal letters to my lawyer. I would go to the classroom, chain, like my legs would be chained in one hand, and I would write like as legal letters. So I would send like now and then 10, 20 pages. My lawyer collected all the letters. I would send to different lawyers. I have 2 lawyers. Then she collected them and she get them approved. So this is the way how we get the book out. So writing the book's another story. But at the same time, I want to write a book about us all. It's not just prisoners. It's about prisoners, guards, camp staff, animals, about Guantanamo itself, about those moments, what make me like that our humanity shine.
Yeah, and let's tell a story about when you realized when you were moved to another part of the prison, and then you realized that you are next to water. So you could hear waves from time to time, but you weren't able to see them. Let me correct myself. At first, you were like making holes in a mesh or whatever.
There's a green tarp.
Yeah, green tarp, and
Yes.
so you could see like small portions of the ocean, right? And then they would just put another ring of security, so they can block your view.
Like being kept in long time, deprived of the smallest thing in your life, especially like in solitary confinement. Most of the time, we didn't get to breathe fresh air or the air from there. They would put some kind of smells close to the AC, which like we can smell it all day, really bad smell. So when I used to go to the rickyard, I could hear the wave of the ocean. So most of the time, I could smell the sea. Sometimes the sea smells.
The salt from the sea.
Yeah, and like when I went to the rickyard, like sometimes I would lay on my stomach and like look there. I could see the sea. It's like the most beautiful scenery ever. Like those moments, I will never forget it, because those moments came at the time when you were in despair. You need something. Like the iguana was come, like my friend the iguana, the princess, or this kind of small moments that give you push, that give you hope, that preserve you. So when I asked the reg, I would like open like there's like the mesh fence like covered with tarp. I would tear down the tarp and lay in my stomach and keep just watching. So I used to do it like it was our secret.
Yeah. And also because you were forbidden, for example, to stand up, you were forbidden to talk, but you found a way how to communicate, many different ways to communicate. I would like you to tell those stories about how you communicated, even though it was forbidden.
Like in the blacks, we weren't allowed to talk to each other, especially in solitary confinement. Sometimes we were sing. Like the nightingale, when he was singing, like it was beautiful sound, and it brings really tranquility to your heart. So we were forbidden to talk, so we pretend that we were singing.
Okay.
So, and that's how you communicate. Also at the same time...
Can you sing?
Yeah, we can sing Guantanamo song. For example, here is one other thing, like in 2000, by the end of 2002 and 2000, like onward, when intense interrogation were taking places, we used to sing for each other. Like, and if they would take someone to the interrogation or to somewhere he's leaving the camp or the block, or leaving Guantanamo, we would sing for him, like,
While they were walking.
while walking the block, holding by two guards. Sometimes they like hold it and would say, روح روح مع السلامة, Allah يزيدك أمن وسلامة, which mean go with peace, may Allah grant you more peace and safety. And when they bring someone back from interrogation or from any place or moving from camp, from a block, we're like, حبا حبا باللي جا باللي جا يا مرحبا باللي جا باللي جا. Imagine 150 prisoners sing in 2 or 3 blocks at the same time. It was like thunder.
Yeah.
However, interrogators and camp staff and guards took that as a challenge. They would close the windows, they would punish us. Sometimes they would deprive from a meal, or like they didn't give us some certain bread, whatever. And one of the interrogators recorded the songs. And whenever he started his own PC, he said it would sing for me, "Haba haba billija billija." So I remember one of the brothers, when they arrived from Kandahar to Guantanamo, we knew like we could hear like there would be like seas moving in the camp, and we could hear when they take them through the process station, because we could hear the rattling chain, and we knew there's a new group, and the guards would close the windows and would stop from talking, and when we heard them, the brothers came, we would keep just singing for them for like,
Even though you cannot see them,
but
you would
yes,
sing so they can hear.
Yes, so imagine like 200 prisoners at the same time sing for you. Haba haba billi ja billi ja ya marhaba billi ja billi ja. Imagine you have been flown for 40 hours, and as soon as you landed, you hear the song.
Yeah.
What means? So they said, "Wallah,
It's a lifeline.
It's like said, it took all the pain, because hearing those, not just voice, it was like a thunder voices, like there is like
chanting.
It's challenge. It's empowering, and hearing that in that situation. Also, the brothers, they told like, we thought you guys living in kind of like a hotel or some like a beach, wherever. Yeah. So when they brought him like later, like remove the hood, we heard you sing. He said, yeah, we just welcome you guys.
Yeah.
So it's this kind of moment. So like the Humanity Journal just published my article about the beautiful Guantanamo.
Yeah.
I wrote about how those different culture and different mindset and different, from different countries arrived at Guantanamo, interacted and melted and become Guantanamo culture. I call it the beautiful Guantanamo. I extracted all the bad things, all the torture and so on. And I think this is one of the best articles I wrote about Guantanamo. We just focus on this.
And that's one of the most amazing things, regarding, because it doesn't matter how difficult it gets. It doesn't matter how impossible it gets. It doesn't matter how dark and hopeless it gets. There's still some cracks through which the light can shine on. You kind of, I don't know, the way I see it, I'm not saying I know it. I'm far from it. But it looked like they were trying to break you, but you were not broken. There was like some straw of hope that you kind of managed to cling on over so much time. Because there's one thing we haven't touched yet. And that's
a lot of things.
There's a lot of things, yeah, but within this conversation specifically, the realization that comes over time that you're still there, and there's no end in sight. In the first days, and you say, I'm not just so for people listening. It's not me imagining things. It was you telling the things in the book. It
is one of the worst and painful things we live at Guantanamo, being kept forever, knowing nothing, Like, here's the thing. I don't know why I was there, or until when, or what would happen to me, or to where I'm going to be released.
Yeah.
Knowing nothing. It's one of the worst things, because you can't just, you don't know what to expect. You don't know how to hope. Like, sometimes like someone like try to steal your hope. Because if someone gives you like 20 years or 15 years, this is a target, but you don't know. Could be tomorrow, could be maybe never, could die. Because we haven't talked about hunger strike, force feeding, the death at Guantanamo. We haven't talked about, the negotiation between us and the community. We haven't talked about, there's a lot of things. I mean, like I told you, like 5 hours is kind of being enough. Trust me, because I know the story. Story is really big. It's really big. And I don't just to be about me. It's just like, it's about Guantanamo in general, because we are going to talk about the hunger strike and how it evolved, become hunger strike, and how they break the hunger strike. And then we're going to talk about the dark age from 2002 until 2010. Then we're going to talk about the golden age, how the interrogation change. They become your friends. Even the rooms become like refrigerators, TVs, PS3, and they bring food and eat with you. Those interrogators, yesterday they were torturing you. Now they become your friend. So basically, like in 2004, the first lawyer arrived at Guantanamo. And at that time, even before the arrival of the lawyers, there was something called administrative review boards, like military commissions, where like they took all the prisoners and classified them as enemy combatant, without lawyers, without any legal representation. It's just like you go before those military commissions. They said, it's like way of interrogation. Ask a question. They said, okay, based on that, you are enemy combatant to the United States and its allies. A few months after that, first group of lawyers arrived, and it was hard to trust them because, again, Americans, we didn't know who. Only American lawyers were allowed to come there. ICRC I met ICRC first in Kandahar.
Let's tell people who RCIC is. ICRC.
It is
ICRCR.
It is International
Red Cross.
Red Cross, basically. International Committee of the Red Cross. So basically, they were in Guantanamo. They were in Kandahar. They were in Guantanamo. In Guantanamo, we officially asked them to leave because we told them they watched what happened in there, and I told them, guys, Geneva Convention should apply here. You are not part of the convention. They said, look, we are here, and we have signed some document to the Americans. We are not going to disclose anything. And we had like many meetings with them, telling them leave Guantanamo because being here, it just gives legitimacy to Guantanamo.
Yeah, legitimacy to Guantanamo.
Yeah, exactly, because being there, people will say ICRC is there. And that happened. Everything what happened at Guantanamo, ICRC was there. And they wouldn't say anything. They have to get anything would say to the media has to be approved by the Pentagon. So we spent years and years and years boycott the ICRC. Even I refused to send letters to my family because at the same time we want them to leave. In 2005, when the situation got only worse every year after year, we managed to organize a massive hunger strike. We did many hunger strikes from 2002 to 2005, but in 2005, we found a way how to communicate. It took us some time, but we went in massive hunger strike. So we didn't have much time, so I can go in details. But at that time, we managed to force the administration to come and talk to us. But it was just a trap. It was only a matter of 2 months until the Congress approved the force feeding. What I mean, the force feeding, they would bring thick tubes, put it through our noses to our stomach, and they would put like liquid nutrition called Ensure, put it through those small bags.
What was the nutrition called?
Ensure.
Ensure.
Ensure, like ENCUSRE.
Okay.
So basically, they would
Ensure.
Yeah. And they would put it like feed us that twice a day. And in 2006, it was the worst years in Guantanamo.
Just a second. How would they? So they would take you out of your cage.
Ourselves.
Ourselves.
Either like you walk. If you refuse to walk, they will bring the earth teams, and they have what they call a force feeding chair. It's like a torture chair with like 8-point restraints. Our heads like that, and there was like two.
Your heads will be pushed back.
Will be tied to the chair.
Tied to the chair.
Our
Okay.
heads, our shoulders, our hands, our waist, our legs. You can only breathe, literally. You cannot move, you cannot do anything. Only your eyes move. And they will put like mask over our mouth, spit or anything. Then medical nurse or corpsman or sometime guards, they would bring like a thick tube, but through our noses like this. The nose would go down to our stomach, and then it was like connected to a small bag, and they will start pouring insure. They did this twice a day. They do this twice a day. Some of us, I spent 3 years like that. Some of the prisoners spent 10 to 15 years on force feeding. And
You spent 3 years.
It's nothing.
Only force fed.
It's nothing.
Just a second. You spent 3 years
Yeah.
being force fed like that twice a day.
Yes,
Every time, every day.
every day. So some of the prisoners spent 5 years, 10 years, some of them 15 years.
15.
15 years. No exaggeration.
They
The
know
law-
nothing else now.
You know, it's the only thing you can do. And the American keep it secret until like they never talk about it. And they do call it even hunger strike. They call it non-religious long fasting. And they kept always hiding the numbers. So if we just talk about hunger strike, we need just another 3 hours. How it started, how we developed, how we managed to have like effective hunger strike. Then in 2006 was one of the worst years. What happened? In 2006, when the White House, the Pentagon saw that we went in massive hunger strike that embarrassed the US government, what they did, they sent a new camp administration, a new staff, a new soldiers, and new interrogators, and they sent someone called Zach. Zach, because in 2003, as I told you, they arrested the Muslim chaplain. Now they replace him with someone called the culture advisor,
Okay.
Zach is a torturer. He was in Iraq with General Jefri Miler and was recommended to the Pentagon by General Jefri Miler to work at Gvantanamo as culture advisor. We call him the torture advisor. So when this new group arrived into Kamp in 2006, what they did, their mission to bring the prison and prisoners under control. So what they did first of all, they broke our hunger strike. We were the force feeding. It became not force feeding anymore. They put us in solitary confinement, and they brought piles of insure. They just keep pouring insure one after another, 5 times a day, no sleep, beating. They sent a special medical team to do this. We couldn't survive for 5 days. We couldn't, because one of the most interesting person now who was at that time, and he was watching that happening, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, he's Florida governor. He was in Guantanamo as a JAG officer. And I talked to him. He was there while I was force fed. He was watching that. And he might be run for U.S. presidency in 2024. So they broke the hunger strike in 2006. They succeeded. They punished all the prisoners in Camp 5. They removed all the stuff. They put them just in the concrete. Then after that, they shut down Camp 4, the medium security camp. You know, they usually search Camp 4, but that day, they went there with full geared soldiers. Humvees surrounded the Camp 4, and they brought air teams with rubber bullets guns, with pepper spray, with dogs, and they searched everyone. The last room, they attacked them and they beat them, and some of the prisoners got shot and some of them hospitalized. Only 1 month after that, 3 prisoners died, the first death in Guantanamo. And they accuse us. The camp commander of Guantanamo, his name is Harry Harris, he said this is a symmetrical war by Al-Qaeda operating cell at Guantanamo, basically. We're accusing us that we're Al-Qaeda, and it's a symmetrical war. They are, he said, we are fighting against a vicious enemy in Guantanamo. It's just like how they were just, whatever they said, they were justifying the torture, the abuse in the camp. So by the end of 2006, they opened Camp 6. Camp 6, one of the worst camp in Guantanamo. They built it. It's like, it's in the international law, it's forbidden to build a prison underground. What they did, they built a prison on the ground, but with the prescription, with the, how you say it, with the characters of prison under the ground. Basically, they
characteristics. Yeah.
Basically,
they build it on top of the ground, but it looked like it was underground.
You feel it is like building inside building.
Okay, yeah.
So when you're inside the blocks, the only way you can see the light, small light, through the ceiling. When you look up, you look like this. You feel you are underground, and the humidity, and there is the windows has the cells have no windows, and extreme cold, noise, no sleep, little food, no medical care whatsoever. So after the death, it was really one of the worst years in Guantanamo. By the end of 2006, they shut down Camp 123, and they moved all of us to Camp 6 and Camp 5. I was moved to Camp 5. I was moved into Camp 5. So in 2007, I went on hunger strike again, and when it's like they started force feeding me. And 2007, I received the first letter from my family. How my family knew I was in Guantanamo? In 2006, one of the Yemeni prisoner who was notified he would be released, I told him, please, if you get back to Yemen, go to my aunt in the address and tell them I am in Guantanamo. This is how my family...
Up until 2006, your family had no idea where you are.
In 2007, basically.
Up until 2007, nobody knew where you were.
Not the ICRC, not my government, not the U.S. government, no anyone. And all of them knew I was in Guantanamo. So in 2007, now... there was Camp 5, Camp 4, Camp 6, Camp Echo, Camp Iguana, and Camp 7. In 2006, in 2006, the Seton Hall University law, based on the government document, published the report. I told you that most of the prisoners in Guantanamo are innocent, and they have no connection to Al-Qaeda or Taliban whatsoever. The government was embarrassed by that. So by August, they brought the high-value prisoners, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and others, they brought him from the black sites around the world to Guantanamo so the government can say Guantanamo actually held terrorists and the mastermind behind 9/11. Before that, there is no one they can accuse them to be Al-Qaeda or terrorist. But again, they want to tell, so we have terrorists at Guantanamo. In 2008, by the end of 2008, we heard that someone called Barack Obama was running for the presidential election, and he said he would close Guantanamo. We were happy to hear that, and we wished that he would win the election, and he did win the election. And the second day in his office, he signed an executive order to close Guantanamo. And they came to talk to us. They said, guys...
Who came to talk to you?
The camp commanders.
Okay.
Because we were on hunger strike for 2 years now, 2 years and a half. They said, why are you hunger strike? Because in 1 year, the detention will be closed. They said, if we learn something that you guys, not to believe you. So by the end of 2009, Obama sent a delegation to Guantanamo to assess the situation in Guantanamo and to make some recommendation to improve the living condition there. I met with this delegation, and the first thing they said, you are a troublemaker, man. Why are you on hunger strike? Why are you in the orange jumpsuit? I said, okay, wrong question. Why I'm here? Can you ask me? You give me this cloth. Did you give me choice? Why I'm here? And they said, they didn't answer because they were told this, the worst of the worst. These guys are terrorists. They are Al-Qaeda. And I talked to them. I said, why I'm here? Can you try us before American justice system? So basically, then they made some recommendation to improve living in the convention. So, the Democrats went to Guantanamo look nice. We sat with the Khan administration for the first time to negotiate with them. They were forced to sit with us because they had to make some improvements. So we sat with them, and this is our demand. First of all, the cultural advisor, Zach, shouldn't be included in the negotiation. Secondly, these are our demands. Our demands, communal living. First, our demand to, we need this, we needed something for our case, but they told us we had no control over that. So we went to negotiate about the living condition. We negotiated the communal living in Camp 6. We negotiated communication with our families, video and phone calls. We negotiated classes, better health care, better food, books, TVs, and so on. So most of that met, and we have to fight for it. So after the negotiation, many of us, like, I think we all stopped the hunger strike. So because our hunger strike wasn't meant for us to die, or because we need to improve the living condition, and at least first step was to improve the living condition. Then secondly, to start doing something about case. In 2007, there was another death. In 2009, there was another death. In 2011, there was 2 deaths. In 2012, there was another death. So basically, 2010 and 2013, we called it Guantanamo the Golden Age. We were moved from solitary confinement to communal living. Imagine, Ghalib, yesterday you were treated the worst of the worst. Now, you are being treated better, and guard call you sir. Camp staff meet with you and shake your hands. Yesterday, shaking hands was forbidden, was a crime. You will be punished. You will be thrown in solitary confinement for a month. Today, they came to shake your hands. Interrogation also become volunteers. If you want to go to interrogation, you will get like incentive items. They will give you chocolates, clothing, shampoo, sandals, stuff like movies, CDs, songs, games. Basically, you have like around 300 budget, but not in cash, stuff. So the interrogation rooms, they also changed. Instead of being like a torture chamber, it become like nice rooms with microwaves, refrigerator, TVs. Interrogators would bring some food, and they would call you my friend, and would shake hand with you. And they will only restrain one leg, be free. So also at the same time, everything could change, you know. And we started classes in English, art classes.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask you, because in the book, in the first few years of Guantanamo, you needed an interpreter. Because you didn't speak English at all. English was a new language for you, but now you and me, we have a conversation in English. So when did you learn English?
So when I moved to communal living in 2010, so when I looked at myself, I always want to study and to educate myself and to be a better person. When I moved, because when you live from 2002 and 2010, we don't have access to books or pen or papers. So, and you become just the empty person, like a shell, no education. You become just, you know, when you being fighting always with the guards, you move through stages, hate, fear, anger, courage, whatever, you have to go through it. But alhamdulillah, I managed to go out of it. It's like a tunnel, you have to go through it. But at the same time, you feel you are empty. And when I looked at myself, I said, I don't want to be that person the rest of my life. No, I was scared. You know, this is one of the thing that really scares me. To be that person like nothing, empty. You know? So I started focus on learning English with the guards. I had the first book was Around the World in 80 Days.
Yes, I know the book.
And it took me 6 months to finish it. So the guards and brothers would laugh at me all the time. Yeah. Mansoor, the guy, finished the book and
he went around the world in 80 days.
We're going to finish. I said, look, I haven't found my sweetheart. When I did, I will finish my journey. So I used to learn with the guards. Also, one of the blessings we have in Guantanamo, one of the prisoners, a Pakistani businessman, who actually was our mentor and teacher, and with him we studied business and English, and we prepared this
feasibility report.
Yeah, for business plan. And if you want, you can take a look and show the camera later. And it's in Arabic and English. So we studied English and business at the same time, and we published this report. It was published also in the Miami Herald. So then I wrote my first two books. One of them a documentary book, and the other one the book you see here now. Don't Forget Us Here.
Yeah.
And originally that book was written from 2010 to 2013. In 2000
During the golden years.
Yes. In 2013, however, something happened.
What happened?
The army came in 2012 and took over the camp. So they weren't happy how the way we live in this time. So what they did, they started making a lot of problems in the camp because they weren't happy, because when you talk to them, they said, you guys have a lot here. You have classes, community living, TVs, newspaper, books, DVDs, and so on. I told them, they said, your life here is better than the prisoners in the United States. I said, look, if you want to talk that way, those men never kidnapped, never tortured. They were sentenced. They had access to lawyers, and they had a chance to challenge their imprisonment. Give me that. Give me that. Are you ready? He told me, I'm not here. I'm here just to make sure to keep you alive. And I told him, okay. I told them, shut the fuck up then. You look about the stuff I have. And what they did, they wanted to close the camp, living camp. And when they started harassing us, taking our stuff, we went in peaceful protest. We spent like 1 month on hunger strike again by 2012. And they came one day, and they, again, same way they didn't came in 2005. They brought Humvees, shotguns, dogs, and they raided all the blocks. They destroyed everything. And again, Guantanamo was reset again. And we had to go through hunger strike and force feeding and torture and abuses over and over again.
All over again.
All over again. And in 2000, when Obama came to White House in 2009, they did what they call administrative review board, and they cleared many of the prisoners because obviously there was no crime and there was no evidence on there whatsoever. In 2013, Obama also announced again that he would close after our hunger strike, that he would close Guantanamo, and he activated what they call PRBs, periodic review board, and that. In 2013, we had also massive hunger strike, and it was the most effective and successful. We lost everything, literally. Everything was taken. But I told my brother sometime, in order to win, you have to lose everything. So Obama, after that, the Congress left ban from releasing prisoners, especially Yemenis. Obama came and he announced that we closed Guantanamo. They reactivated the periodic review board of PRPs. And after that, delegation from countries, is the process how release prisoners, came to Guantanamo, meet with prisoners. And in 2014, prisoners started leaving Guantanamo. I was cleared in 2000 by the end of 2015. In 2016, I was released. The process of releasing prisoners, however, is you should go before the periodic review board, and they assess your behavior in the camp. I was one of the worst of the worst, not because I have done anything or I have committed a crime. No, it was my behavior in the camp. Because in 2006, when they started the review, the military administrative reviews, what they did to us in 2006, I cursed them, I challenged them. I said, it will be my honor to be American enemy. Because what they did to us, the death of my three brothers and so on, I was like literally angry. In 2015, they were.
How did your brothers die?
3 brothers died in Guantanamo.
Brothers from not literal.
Yes,
brothers,
basically those 3 men were found dead in their cells, hanged, their hands tied behind them, their legs tied, and their necks were broken. There was a piece of cloth inside their mouth. Some of them broken teeth. One of the guards wrote a book called Murder in Kamp Delta, and he said those men were actually killed by interrogators. So basically, the process also of releasing the prisoners, it is like you have to go through this kind of periodic review board, assess your case, and they have to agree unanimously. This periodic review board are like FBI, CIA, Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and so on. And after that, you got delegation would come from different countries, and they would meet you. and they would talk to you, and they would say, yes, we take the prisoner or no. Or no. So you get released out of Guantanamo. Until here, we can say our story is finished.
Yeah.
Then second part, we're going to talk about life after Guantanamo.
Yes, that's a long story. But I want to know.
So I rub everything for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Don't worry. You, the limited time, unfortunately, for such a big story. But what I wanted to ask you, the moment, you were 19 years old at the time, and the time have passed. You had no idea what's going to happen. You were clinging on some hope that they gonna realize the mistake. Even in the book, once you've met in the nice room with a guy that he told you, I know you're not Al-Qaeda, I know, that you're completely wrongfully here. And then he offered you to spy for him, or, to work for him, to give him information.
Yeah, that was a CIA guy in 2002.
Yeah, the CIA guy in 2000.
So basically, here's the thing, like...
But the thing was, you knew that they knew from the early days, right, since 2002, they knew you were not the guy. And you had some hope that you are going to go out, that you're going to be released soon, or soon enough, or whatever that means. But when was the moment, or if you had that moment, when you thought, maybe I'm going to spend the rest of my life here?
We had always that moment, because when you don't see any kind of justice around you, and there isn't any, especially like also it based on your nationality. Yemenis, Pakistanis, Afghanis, where the worst were treated, or Africans, because, our countries are nothing to them. So basically, one of the things, honestly, that helped us to survive at Guantanamo was our faith. Because I remember one of the interrogators, one day he took me to the interrogation room and he said, your file is under Bosch's desk. You are not leaving that place. And it was like challenging tones. At that time I was so young and I didn't know how to express whatever. I told him, look, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. I told him, do you think your president can control his asshole if he get like diarrhea? He said, no. I said, okay, if he cannot control his asshole, he cannot control my faith. And I literally said it. And I told him, I swear, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will leave here and you will be the one who is going to hold my hand. Well, he literally looked at me and said, whom are you working for? I said, I cannot tell you. So basically, sometimes you have this kind of moments, you have like, yes, I will leave regardless. But the things that help us to survive at Guantanamo was first, our faith as Muslims. You have to pray. You have to connect that you believe that my destiny already determined and written. And no matter what you do, is just a human being like me, regardless. Secondly, it was we having each other at that place. It's like supporting, taking care of each other. Also, we developed some kind of sense of humor.
Yeah.
So we always try to hide the pain. Even we get bleeding, we make fun of it. So that helped us not to take it seriously. And, I think there is a lot of good people around the world who played in our release, in our survivor, include you, include others, because people who speak against injustice, people who fight for justice, those people who can always, even there is some people, I might never met them or heard about them, but I would thank everyone, because it's not about me, it's about us as humans. So this is the thing that help us to survive. There are some moments where you think you cannot take it anymore, because you are humans. There is a moment where you think, this is it. Is this a moment where I said, oh Allah, please take my life. I cannot take it anymore. I can't. There's a moment we really feel you just cannot take it any further step. But you just sometimes just keep moving little by little, keep hope, because hope is life. And someone take that hope, that would keep us, all of us, like alive every day, because we didn't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And we hope for the betterment, and we hope for things. And it's like the soul of our lives is hope.
Yeah, and the worst part of it all is all of that huge part of your life, practically your whole life, and there was no charge. There was never a charge.
You know, it's not just me. There is like, you can say hundreds of thousands, millions of people like me around the world. You know, Guantanamo now implies injustice, torture, oppression, lawlessness, abuse of power, and indefinite detention. And it also gives some kind of encouragement for tyrants to do so. And for me, those people, even those who commit a crime, like they are humans, and there should be basic human right for everyone regardless. It's not about the criminal, about his crime, but about us as humans, as dignity. If you just arrest someone and torture and abuse them without, and punish them without any justice, without any charge, without any hearings or lawyers whatsoever, it becomes just another crime. It's even worse than the crime they committed might. So, since I left Guantanamo, I have been fighting for the closure of Guantanamo, speaks out, because not all prisoners can speak out, because living the stigma of Guantanamo is not easy. So, alhamdulillah, I have read that book. I'm working on another book called Letters from Guantanamo. Last year, I had a ride to Subotica, 400 kilometers to bring awareness about closing Guantanamo. And so far, there are 35 men remain at Guantanamo.
What there are
35 men.
35,
Yeah.
okay.
Like there are 35 men remain at Guantanamo. 21 of them have been cleared for release. Some of them cleared in 2009.
And still there.
Still there.
14 years after they've been cleared.
Yes.
Fucking
So,
insane.
I mean, there is no any kind of justice to that place. You cannot, what I say, if anyone commit a crime of this or charged with a crime, they should be also sentenced. You cannot just keep people indefinitely without charge, without any human rights. So, my friend, this is the journey we have been through whole as a humanity. And thank you so much for having me to talk to you about my experience.
Yeah,
and I would say,
thank you for coming over. Thank you for contacting us. You know, thank you for sharing this story, for your fight. And I know, even though we've spent almost 4 hours. Even though we spent 4 hours talking, we barely scratched the surface of the story. There is so much more to be said. It's impossible to fit it in one conversation.
Yes,
I know it's impossible.
It is 20 years, basically.
It is 20 years of your life. You cannot fit in one conversation, but at least there's some of it that people can read it in this book. The book is called Don't Forget Us Here. You can order it online. I'm guessing on all major websites. You can find it from Amazon to
Hachette,
whatever.
I mean, you can Hachette.
It's a Hachette publisher from Hachette Books.
And I hope we can get it published in Serbian language so people can read it.
Yeah, maybe the translation in Serbian. It's a book written in English. So yeah, it's a well-written book. You have real talent for prose.
Thank you.
I think this book, it's not just the memoirs. It's more of a novel, and I hope that you'll find the closure. I hope that because of various different legal and other reasons, we cannot talk public about different stuff that you told me about. So I just want to say that I'm hoping that you're gonna find solutions for all of those problems that you're facing now. One day, soon, hopefully,
yes.
And you have a whole life ahead of you, and really hoping that it's gonna be a lot different than it was up until this point. So you are a very resilient man.
Thank you so much.
You're a very resilient man. One of the toughest men I have ever met, and your story is amazing. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your audience, listeners, and I really appreciate talking to you, and hope we can meet again soon.
We will. Don't worry about it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.